Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy? Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. And welcome to another live edition. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again. You guys know the deal on this channel. It's all about setting the record straight, stopping the lies, stopping the narratives, stopping them from rewriting history, guys. And in this live, we got a lot of things to talk about. I wrote down a couple of things that I want to mention. I got a list. But more so importantly, we're going to focus on LeBron James and how him and his fans ain't worth a damn, man. They continue to not be worth a damn. I'm telling you guys right now, man. We're going to talk about it this morning. So once again, good morning. I want to thank you guys, everyone across the world, everyone across the states, man, that continues to support my channel. Like I said, good morning. Wake up, everybody, and let's roll this morning, all right, man? We're going to do it this morning, man. So once again, you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these lives, these videos, for educational purposes. And let's roll. Yes, sir. Good morning. Shout out to all you guys out there, man. Wake up. Wake up, everybody. We're going to do it, man. We're going to do it. I told you guys I was going to go live this weekend. I couldn't do it yesterday. I couldn't do it Friday, but I'm going to bring it to you guys this morning. So once again, shout out to all you guys that continue to come through. Shout out to my man Top Dog for coming through. Shout out to my man G24D. Shout out to you guys, man. I really appreciate it. Shout out to my man Bandhead, Dakota LaReed. What's up? Always coming through. Thank you very much. Renee in the building, as always. Cameron MC OMC. What up? Shout out to you for always coming through. Thank you very much. Like I said, you guys can continue to humble me with all support. Shout out to Callie Young for coming through. It means a lot. Shout out to my man, Ghetto C, the General, for coming through. Always shout out, man, my man. Good morning. Like I said, good morning to all you guys, man. We coming early. Wake up. I've been up since 4 in the morning. Everybody get the heck up. All right. Shout out to my man, Al Ivan. Shout out to you. Shout out to my man, Armando Ruiz. Thank you very much for coming through early in the morning, guys. Mad Dog coming through. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Shout out to my man, Level Up Media. Good morning to all you guys. I really appreciate it. Like I said, man, it's truly humbling you guys coming through early in the morning. I don't know, what time it is wherever you guys are. It's about 8:45 in the morning right now on the East Coast. Like I said, I've been up since 4 in the morning. But I really wanted to do a live stream, and really this is the best time for me to do it. I've been wanting to do one all weekend because there were so many things to talk about. Like I said, I wrote some things down to make sure that we could cover. Yo, what up? What up? Shout out to who did it this time. Thank you once again for all you guys for coming through. Like I said, I'm a morning person. I love the mornings. The morning to me, like anywhere from like the point that I wake up in the morning to about like, I don't know, like 10 o'clock in the morning, to me, that's like my favorite part of the day. Like I feel like, like for example, like on a day off, like on the weekend, like on a Saturday morning, man, I feel like I get like the most done between like the time that I wake up to like 10 in the morning. Like I just love the mornings. Like I said, it's just something about the morning for me that I just really love getting up and just getting it going, man. And I talk a lot on my channel about the morning routine for a lot of people, and waking up with that sense of positivity, that energy in the morning, because starting your day off just by waking up, that's a win overall. I said thousands of people don't wake up in the morning, so for us to be able to open our eyes and wake up in the morning, you think about the morning, you starting your day off with a win right there. So shout out to all you guys, I said, for coming through. Shout out to everybody out there in Louisiana. 746 over there. So yeah, like I said, I wrote down some things, guys, I want to talk about. We're going to talk about this clown LeBron James today, though, on this live stream, man. We are going to talk about him and his bum fans and how ain't none of them worth a damn, man. I wrote down some comments from that LeBron James post-game interview that I did a video on. I was talking to you guys about the nonsense that this man said. So you guys seen that video. We're going to talk about some of the comments I wrote down that these LeBron James fans was writing in that comments. I mean, my goodness, man. My goodness. People not living in reality. I don't even know what these people looking at. I had to ask one of the people, what are you watching, man? Like, I actually had to respond. I normally don't do that, but I had to ask I was compelled. I had to know, based off the comment this person left, I was completely confused, man. But there were some things I want to talk about. I want to talk about the OKC Thunder and their team overall, and where they are as far as, the teams that we've seen over the last 5-6 years or so, and the teams of this era, the 2020s. And the OKC Thunder team, and how they might be on the verge of becoming a back-to-back champion, or maybe on the verge of becoming a quote-unquote type of a dynasty type team But I want to talk about them. I want to talk about the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference, man. What's up with the Eastern Conference? The Eastern Conference is wide open, in my opinion, man. Listen, the New York Knicks have been playing better basketball as of late. So shout out to New York Knicks. I told you I was a little upset with the Knicks. I was a little down on the Knicks in the first couple of weeks, month of the season or so, because they were looking very inconsistent with all the expectations coming into the season. But they've been playing better basketball. But to me, the Eastern Conference, wide open right now. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about Giannis real quick, because I don't know what's up with Giannis, man, but Giannis' career is just, I don't know what's going on with Giannis right now, man. I feel bad for this dude. We could talk about Chris Paul, Zion Williamson out again as usual. So all these kinds of things we're going to touch on before we get into the LeBron James and just the nonsense that we saw in that Toronto game, in the post-game interview, the celebration after he made the pass, and how his fans are celebrating him for sacrificing his fake fraudulent streak that never was, right? It never was. It was never a streak. It was never a thing. And now they're celebrating him for sacrificing that for the better of the team. Once again, shout out to you guys. Good morning to everybody out there. To Jesse Glassaget, what up, man? Thank you for coming through. Like I said, much respect to you guys for rolling with me again. That's right. You know the deal, my friend. Motto, what up? 3623. Thank you for coming through. You guys know the deal. So I want to shout out a couple people that sent in some supers. Shout out to Eyaza Bag, 1772. Once again, coming through with the super. Much respect to you, always coming through. Like I said, shout out to all you guys, everybody in the membership. I'm going to send a special thanks out to Mark Darnell. So much respect to Mark Darnell for coming through with the super. It means a lot, man. Like I said, truly humbled by your guys' support, man. Like I said, it's the continued support that's truly humbling, guys. It's not really just random people, sending in donations and supporting the channel. It's the constant support from, like I said, the main people that continue to come back to my channel. I'm not too concerned with building up my subscriber count, or, a lot of you guys will tell me, hey, your channel should have way more subscribers. And yeah, we can all say these kinds of things, and I really appreciate hearing those things. My channel that's not the main focus of my channel, though. And the fact that, like I said, the people that are always coming back some people in the chat have said before, shots of so-and-so, because they're always a name that I'm always reading off in my videos, right? So, like I said, the constant support by you guys, like I said, it's the continued support that really matters to me. Because if my channel, wasn't really anything, then you guys wouldn't keep coming back. Or that's how I look at it anyways. So I said the continued support really matters a lot. Shout out to my man King Speech Row for coming through. KD got the real streak behind MJ Malone. Shout out to Daria Barton, 25. Yeah, we'll see what happens with these, like I said, these weird things that people, like I said, when you think about some of the players from back in the day, like they were doing some of these things, they never thought about it. It wasn't like, they turned around and was like, yeah, let me keep this streak going by doing X, Y, Z, or let me keep this 50, 40, 90 season going, by making sure I'm being conscious of how many threes I'm taking, or, how many shots I'm taking, or, what kind of shots I'm taking. A lot of these guys were just doing these things in the course of greatness, in the course of, winning. That's what they did. So, listen, let's start with the Eastern Conference. We were just talking about the Eastern Conference. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. Once again, good morning and shout out to all you guys for coming through on this Sunday morning with Sports and Fitness Rants. Now, when I look at the Eastern Conference, I'm a little confused. Like just last night, I saw the Cleveland Cavaliers lose to the Golden State Warriors without Steph Curry. I don't think Draymond Green was there. I'm not sure if Jimmy Butler was in the lineup or not. But, when you think about some of the inconsistencies of some of these teams, like Donovan Mitchell was there for Cleveland, Mobley was there, and they lose to the Golden State Warriors. So, these are some of the things that I'm talking about. Like, I don't know who to take too serious. Shout out to Jordan Stopper 82. Much respect. I appreciate it. So I really don't know who the team is. Like I said, to me, coming into the season, remember, I kept hearing that the Knicks, shout out to my man King Speech Row, you stay with the Knicks, man. You a true believer in the Knicks. So I really appreciate that out of you, man. I respect that. And I told you the Knicks in the beginning of the season, to me, they were kind of like a little inconsistent. The guys in and out of the lineup. Karl Anthony Towns, to me, I'm not a believer in Karl Anthony Towns. I'm just not. Much respect to Jalen Brunson. But when it comes down to the playoff moments, he gonna need somebody else there riding with him. And Gumby, Jello leg, Karl Anthony Towns, man, I guess I'm not a believer in him. But right now, the Knicks, they're supposed to be the best team. They were supposed to be the class of the East coming into the season. But then you had the team like the Detroit Pistons look like they were the class of the Eastern Conference. And then they've kind of stumbled the last 4 or 5 games here and there. It's like as soon as I mentioned and shout out the Detroit Pistons, they start stumbling a little bit, right? But they're still, to me, probably the team that would be the best team or have the odds-on favorites to win the East right now if the playoffs started. But the Cleveland Cavaliers, to me, like I told you, I'm not a believer in the Cleveland Cavaliers. I just don't know. Are they a legit team? Like, to me, anyone could come out of the East right now. Even the Boston Celtics are still winning games, right? Because they're a pretty deep team, right? That was the whole thing about the Boston Celtics. Even though they lost someone like Al Horford, right, a Porzingis, the Boston Celtics were a team that was supposed to be a deep team, right? A team that had talent, guys on the bench. So when you talk about, the Celtics, they're still competing. Someone like the Miami Heat, they've been a surprise team in the Eastern Conference. Have they not? I think we can all agree the Miami Heat have been a surprise team. I shouted out Norman Powell in the last live stream. We talked about Eric Spoelstra and the job that he continues to do in Miami. They're a team that could surprise you. The things that they were doing early in the season was before Tyler Hero came back. Now, I'm not saying Tyler Hero is, one of the great players in the league, but he's a quality player in the NBA, and you didn't have him. So now you add him. This is not helping. I'm not hurting you. It's only helping the Miami Heat. So once he gets acclimated into the rhythm, into the flow, and they build some cohesion, the Miami Heat are a team. They're the Toronto Raptors we talked about in the last live stream. They're a team to me that was a surprise. I didn't even realize they had some of the plays that they had until I started seeing some of their games this season. Brandon Ingram. We talked about Podol. We talked about, what's his name? Barnes, right, being there. RJ Barrett's there now. Manuel Quickly, some of the former New York Knicks players that came over in that move. Now these guys are starting to come into their own, and they're winning some games there now, the Toronto Raptors. So when you look at the Eastern Conference, man, I mean, the 76ers, what are they going to do? Is Joel Embiid going to do anything this season? Is Paul George going to come back and actually do it? Is this man going to actually finally earn his damn money, Paul George? I mean, my goodness, dude. Remember, he was offended a couple of last year that the Clippers didn't offer him a max contract. And then he went out there and proceeded to play 30 games last year, Paul George? 35 games? Wanted a max contract, was offended. They didn't offer him one. Dude, I'm offended that you were offended. All right? I mean, insane. All right? Once again, shout out to you guys. I see you guys, I see you guys mention Chicago. Much respect. Josh Giddey, he's coming once again, the Bulls are coming back down to earth. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I was actually gonna do a video on the Chicago Bulls and say what the hell's going on with the Bulls. Because I don't follow the Bulls. I'm not a Chicago Bulls fan like that. I'm following the Bulls. I'm not from Chicago. So I can't say, I follow the Bulls. I watch all their games. I know what's going on. I know what the problem is. But what I've noticed from the Bulls over the last several seasons is the Bulls have been a team where we just saw this season. The Bulls started off 9-4 or something like that, 9-5 or something like that. They looked like a team where you were like, yo, the Bulls might make a playoff spot. They might be a top 5, top 16. And then what happens? After the first couple of months of the season, the first quarter of the season, the first 25 games or so, all of a sudden the Bulls are 9-20. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, what the hell happened? The Bulls were 9-5, and then they lose 10 games in a row. They're 9-17, and then they're pretty much out of it for the rest of the season. And then you're wondering what's going on. They've been doing this for the last several years. They start off hot, right? They'll start off they said 7-4 or something like that, right? And they'll look like a quality basketball team. They might be one of those second-tier teams. And then they've lost how many 6 games in a row, the Bulls? How many games they lost in a row? Anybody tell me in the chat? I think they lost 6-7 games in a row. So once again, the Bulls, I believe, are 9-4, 9-5, and then they haven't won since. Now they're 17 or 9? No, they're 9 and I want to say they're 9-12, 9-12. I think the Bulls are. So I don't know what happened with the Bulls. Like I said, they were on a roll. But see, this is what happens, guys. Like we were talking about with the Knicks before. When expectations come around, all of a sudden it gets hard. I remember back in the day, in the 90s, early 2000s, around that time, mostly in the 90s, I remember when they used to bring players and play for the New York Yankees, right? And some of these really good players, they would come to the New York Yankees and they would underperform heavily, right? It's not like you're expecting them to be the greatest version of themselves ever. Like, oh, it's the best version of that player. But you want them to still be good. But what would happen is people would come to the Yankees and all of a sudden the bright lights are shining. You're in New York City. You're playing for that franchise. The moment becomes too big. The media is always around you. The pressure's on more now for playing for the Yankees. So all of a sudden, sometimes these players, even though they're good, can't play in New York. They go back to another team, all of a sudden they're good again. Sometimes some of these guys, that's what happens to them. The expectations happen. The New York Knicks, they play with expectations. They don't live up to them. It's not easy to play up to the expectations. When people talk about, oh, you're a favorite, it's easy to win when you're the favorite. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not always easy to win when you're the favorite. It becomes increasingly harder to win when everyone expects you to, because there's no room for error there for you. Once again, and that's why I tell you guys, when you talk about the underdogs, the other teams, there's no pressure on them. There's no pressure on the underdog. How is it? Oh, they're not supposed to win. Yeah, but there's no pressure on them to win. So once again, when you're out there on the court, that's when you talk about, oh, you're playing loose. We have nothing to lose. You've heard people say this. We're playing out there loose and free. The other team that's supposed to win is playing tight now. All of a sudden, under these pressure lights, in these moments, things change. So when you talk about a team like Chicago Bulls, all of a sudden now you start off hot. You're 9-3, you're 9-4, you're 9-5, whatever you are. You're in the standings. Teams are start looking at you differently. So now when you're the Chicago Bulls on their schedule, people are like, oh, it's the Bulls. They're like, yo, hold on, these guys are playing good right now. All of a sudden, teams start paying attention to you. It becomes harder for Josh Giddey now, right? Because people are like, yo, this guy's getting triple doubles every night. Hold on a second here. Teams are game planning for you. That's where we see what you're made of. So once again, shout out to you guys. Shout out to you know what's funny? Shout out to Aggravated Man. I was gonna say Randy Johnson. I didn't want to shout Randy Johnson out by name, but Randy Johnson's a perfect example of a player coming to New York and having that reputation, that stature. I mean, it's Randy freaking Johnson, man. It's one of the all-time great pitchers. But when you go to New York, it just didn't work out in New York for Randy Johnson. He looked, like you say, he looked terrible in New York. And there's no disrespect to Randy Johnson, but it just didn't work out for him. I remember the dude, I can't remember his name, man. I want to say he was a pitcher for the Yankees. I want to say he slipped in the bathtub and like hurt his arm or something like that. I mean, it was all kinds of weird stuff going on. Dudes faking all kinds of weird injuries because they scared to go out there and play for the New York Yankees, man. It was different when you play for those kinds of franchises. So I think that's going on with the Chicago Bulls. Once again, shout out to my man, Wings of Dog, SHIT. Once again, 5061. What do I think? Robin, what do you think about the Clippers being absolute ass? We can talk about the Western Conference. To me, the Western Conference is pretty much more cut and dry with the teams that are good or contenders versus the other teams that are not. To me, like I said, I think the interesting thing about the Eastern Conference is that it's so wide open. I think if you're a fan of the Miami Heat, listen, let's be clear here also. We're what, 25 games into the season, 22 games, 23, right around that range for a lot of these teams, 22, 23, 24 games. So we're about a quarter of the way into the season. So this is a good benchmark or a good place to, talk about where we are at this point in time of the season, a quarter into the season with some of these teams. So to me, that's what's interesting about the Eastern Conference, because like I said, if you're a fan of the Miami Heat, of the Toronto Raptors, of the New York Knicks, of the Philadelphia Sixers, of the Detroit Pistons, of the Cleveland Cavaliers, really any one of these teams, the Atlanta Hawks, to me, they were supposed to be a better team. That we know that they've dealt obviously with some serious injury problems. We talk about Trae Young not being there. But to me, remember the Hawks, they were supposed to be a team that had made some moves that was supposed to be up and coming. So there were teams there that, like I said, could make some noise that you weren't really necessarily expecting in the Eastern Conference. That, like I said, it could be interesting. I think the East, to me, comes down to matchups. Because I think a lot of these teams, that's what it's going to come down to. Who plays who and what round do they play them in? Because if you can avoid this team or that team, or avoid this player or that player, maybe that doesn't match up well against your team. Some teams just don't match up good against each other. I remember that a lot of times in the 90s, there were certain teams that just They didn't match up well with other teams, right? For whatever the reason, the players, the way that they ran their systems, and it's just way it works out that way. So to me, the Eastern Conference could come down to one of those things. To me, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a team that needs matchups to go in their favor. They're a team that needs everything to go kind of like in their favor, the Cleveland Cavaliers. To me, they're not like a stout, true, a legit contender. Like I said, they need things to fall their way. Like I said, I don't know what's up with the Miami Heat and some of these other teams, the Toronto Raptors. To me, when we talk about the Clippers and we talk about how bad they are right now, I mean, if you have a team being led by James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, like these are the leaders of your team, the quote-unquote leaders of your team, you're not going anywhere. I mean, we have to be real here with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, we should have been real with Kawhi Leonard. I've been trying to keep it real with Kawhi Leonard, and some of you guys get upset with me when I keep it real about Kawhi Leonard. People like, oh, Robin, you always hard on Kawhi Leonard, man. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not hard on Kawhi Leonard, man. Like I said, I'm keeping it real. You can't be coming out here with these cyborg commercials, right? You can't be coming out here talking about, we got now. You can't be getting all of this money, no trade clauses, max contracts. All of this stuff can't be, you have all of this stuff, but then yet and still you never on the basketball court. And I don't want to hear about the thing about the injuries that people talk about, he got the injuries, and some of the injuries are legit. I'm not saying he's faked some of these injuries. Some of these are obviously legit. And one injury is chronic. He's going to be dealing with this. The problem I have with that is, once again, if that's the case, why are you still playing then? You shouldn't be playing basketball anymore. It's not something you can do any longer. You can't do it, but you continue to get the money. You continue to take the money, make the commercials, right? You want the fame still, right? You want to have all of this fame because you're Kawhi. You're living off the name that's been gone. I tell you, Kawhi Leonard, we ain't seen Kawhi Leonard since Zaza Pachulia, guys. All right? Everyone can thank Zaza Pachulia for, once again, eliminating Kawhi Leonard. That version of Kawhi Leonard, I don't want to hear about 2019. The man played 60 games that season, man. And he was sensational, absolutely. But come on, man. Load managed the entire year. So that wasn't the same. Other guys that are, Kawhi Leonard's playoff run, he scored this many points. He was sensational. The man load managed the entire season for that run. Other great players played the entire season, regular season, and then went and competed in the postseason too. All right? So I'm not knocking him. I told you, to me, Kawhi Leonard had the potential to be a top 10 all-time player. Easily potential. He got the potential to be one of the greatest two-way players in the history of the game. I mean, that man in 2016, 2017, sensational. What he could do on both sides of the ball, even with no personality to him at all, no swag rate to me for Kawhi Leonard. But he had the potential in the game to back it up. The problem is he didn't have the body. He didn't have the mind to me. He didn't have the heart, man. He ain't got the heart on the court. I ain't talking about his at home, his personal self. I'm talking about him on the court. He ain't got the heart on the court. We've seen it. And you got James Harden? James Harden. Come on, guys. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. James Harden, guys. All I have to do is say James Harden. James Harden's name to me is like a meme now. He's James Harden. I mean, haven't we seen enough of this dude? And, James Harden, I think they said just passed Carmelo Anthony or for 10th or something on the all-time scoring list or something like that. I think I saw that. James Harden is a regular season warrior, man. He's a regular season hero, right? Puts up all the numbers. Oh, James Harden, the 50-point triple-doubles, right? Oh, James Harden just went for 40, right? I did that video the other day. They were saying, oh, James Harden's better than Dwayne Wade. It's not even a debate because at this age, he can still drop 40 and 50, and Dwayne Wade couldn't even barely score 10, and, blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, the lack of context, and like I said, the lack of facts and understanding of players when they try to compare these people is astounding to me. Like, how do you say, even if you want to say James Harden was greater than Dwayne Wade, even if you wanted to say that, how could you then say it's not debatable? It's not even debatable. It's more so not debatable Dwayne Wade's way, not James Harden way. If you're saying that James Harden is better than Dwayne Wade, that's your minority opinion. That's not most people's way of thinking here. When you think about all-time rankings, who the hell's putting James Harden above Dwayne Wade? But you got these fools out here talking about he just dropped 40, man. He dropped 50 the other day. He's 36. What we're talking about here? Come on, man. Stop it. James Harden ain't doing none of this stuff in the 90s. He ain't doing none of this stuff in the early 2000s, in the 80s. Stop. James Harden, instead of sacrificing the stat numbers, the padding, all this weird stuff, right? That one MVP, the bogus MVP that he got from flopping all over the court, instead of sacrificing all of that to stay on OKC and not need all the max money and stuff, instead of sacrificing that, he could have been a winner. He could have been a winner. He wanted all. He sacrificed the winning. He got rid of all of that so he can get the shine, so that he can put the stats that no one cares about. Like, think about, we talked about Manu Ginobili, guys, right? I want you guys to think about this. Who is more respected? I'm not talking about greater right now. Who's more respected? When you just think about the name, Manu Ginobili, James Harden. When I say their names, who's thought about and respected and thought about higher in that regard? To me, Manu Ginobili is. Because to me, Manu Ginobili was seen and viewed more as a team player, right? As a guy that did sacrifice those things I talked about, starting on another team, right? Maybe trying to be an MVP player, right? Being a starter on another team, right? Getting the max money and being the main guy on another team. He could have done that stuff, Manu Ginobili. So to me, someone like Manu Ginobili is the antithesis of James Harden. When you talk about what Manu Ginobili started as, what did James Harden start as? A sixth man. Manu Ginobili could have been a starter 10 times over, guys. 10 times over, Manu Ginobili. Anyone that knows the game, that's seen Manu Ginobili play, knows he could have been a starter for a lot of those other teams back in that early 2000s. Easily. He had the tenacity. Once again, he was a two-way player. He gave everyone the defensive end, Manu Ginobili, way more so than James Harden ever did. So he sacrificed the individual accolades so that he could turn around and say, yeah, I'm 15th and 20th on the all-time scoring list, right? I just passed so-and-so. I got this many triple-doubles, and I scored 40 points this many times in my career. But I've never won a championship. I've never done anything to get my team to a championship, to lead my team there. So what did you really leave for? You left for the money and the fame. You didn't leave because your game, look at his game. James Harden's game is about me. Remember, he said, I am the system. Think about these guys' mindsets versus someone like Manu Ginobili. To me, like I said, it's a perfect, it's a yin and a yang there. They're opposites, man. Ginobili was like, you know what? I can do things for this team that no one else can do. So I have a role here. I'm respected playing this role. I'm playing with other great players. And once again, I'm in a position to win a championship, be a champion, and be respected, viewed for being a champion. Because I'm being a guy who's contributing to that championship. They don't win all those without Manu Ginobili. They don't. So once again, he's viewed and respected that way. I just don't get it. Like, they're giving James Harden credit for putting up all of these numbers. Great for James Harden, man. He's a great player. But you cannot say, oh, James Harden's greater than Dwayne Wade because he put these numbers up at this age. That is absolutely insane. So the Clippers, once again, I went off on a tangent here. The Clippers, to me, are going nowhere because you have two fools. You got idiots out here. Those are your leaders. They don't have any leadership. No leadership because leaders take accountability. Kawhi Leonard, no accountability from Kawhi Leonard, man. So anyway, I've rambled on. Shout out to you guys. So I think we come to the conclusion. The East is wide open this season. As of right now, the way it's playing out, the East is any one of those teams I mentioned could win. And the Western Conference, to me, top heavy. OKC, Denver, Houston. To me, those teams seem to be the best because of the players that they have. Like I said, obviously, OKC looks unbeatable, which leads me into my next topic here. Let's talk about OKC real quick and what SGA's been doing. Once again, shout out to all you guys that continue to come through. Shout out to my man Eddie TV. I thought I saw him in the chat. Forgive me, man. I'll be rambling on. I think I see shout out to my man Praise the Don. Thank you very much for you guys coming through this morning. Like I said, I'll do that Sunday morning one. I know it's probably really early for a lot of you guys. So maybe you get up, you get it later. But if you're getting up, if you're up right now, wake the hell up. Wake up. D Wade is a gay weirdo, but yo, sometimes you guys make me read stuff off, man. Like, come on, man. He is a weirdo. But there's no way James Harden is better. I don't care about that about the year he averaged 36 points per game. He doesn't have any rings. He never led a team. Yo, shout out to praise to Don, because when you're talking about leading the team, that's a big thing we have to remember. It's not just about winning championships. We understand that's not the A-all, B-all, right? We get all that. We're not LeBron James. But when we're talking about leading your team, right? A shout out to McZuggan, shout out to Lionel Jones. Like I said, thanks to all you guys coming through. Rock and Jock, 872, what up? Little brother, shout out to you guys, man. Like I said, for coming through. Troy Black, what up, man? Dana Green, I see you out there. Thank you very much. Everyone coming through this morning. When you talk about leading a team, and when we're talking about the greatest shooting guards of all time, right? We've talked about this in some of the videos I've done. Like I said, we have to understand and put respect on some of these great players. Like I told you guys about Reggie Miller, right? Or Clyde Drexler, let's say, for example. Clyde Drexler has just been getting trashed now because they'll talk about Clyde Drexler as if he's just like an afterthought now. Like, to me, James Harden is nowhere close to Clyde Drexler, man. He's not. Listen, they could talk about James Harden scoring his 40, 50-point games, the triple-doubles. Fantastic. I told you guys, fantastic. He can't sniff, and he cannot shine the shoes of Clyde Drexler, guys. I'm telling you right now, Clyde Drexler size, his athleticism, what he's able to do on both sides of the ball, guys. Also, rebound. I told you guys, go look at Clyde Drexler's offensive rebounding numbers. Go right now. Go on Basketball Reference or Stat Muse, wherever you want to go. Go look at that man's offensive rebounding numbers, Clyde Drexler. This man was a monster on the offensive rebounds. Why was that? Because of his size and his athleticism. This dude was no joke. He's Clyde the Glide. All right, so once again, we talk about Clyde Drexler. He led his team to 2 NBA Finals. 2. Not just 92, 1990 also. So yes, we can talk about not winning the finals. Once again, right, we can have those conversations. But when we talk about James Harden, you're not in that conversation because you never even led your team there. Clyde Drexler did it twice. And then won a championship, right, as the sidekick, essentially, right, as the second best player on a championship team, helping Olajuwon out in 1995. So when we talk about Clyde Drexler earning a championship, he was already proven. And at that point in time of his career, that's where he was at. But they're talking about Clyde Drexler. He's nobody now. Oh, Clyde Drexler. That's who Michael Jordan played against. He played against Clyde Drexler. Clyde Drexler. Who's Clyde Drexler? They'll tell you that Clyde Drexler, all he can do is dunk. Oh, Clyde Drexler. I told you, these people are insane, man. I told you it doesn't make any sense, guys. When I talk about Reggie Miller, Reggie Miller to me is the shooting guard version of Patrick Ewing. And what do I mean by that? I brought Patrick Ewing up several times on my channel, not because I'm a New York Knicks guy, because I grew up in New York and Patrick Ewing was the guy in the 90s for New York. Has nothing to do with that, man. It's because to me, Patrick Ewing is one of those guys that gets shortchanged when people try to read off your paper resume. Reggie Miller is the same way. They try to talk about Reggie Miller, the people that didn't grow up at that time, about his paper resume. So they'll say, oh, Reggie Miller has no All-NBAs like that. He don't have that many All-Star selections like that next to a James Harden, right? So they'll say, oh, Reggie Miller wasn't that good. He wasn't nobody. He was just out there, got a couple All-Star games, a couple All-NBAs. He's Reggie Miller, Robert. But he's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. Why is that? Because I've told you guys, when you think about someone like Patrick Ewing, the Reggie Millers, the reason why they don't have all the accolades, the MVPs, or the Defensive Player of the Year awards, Patrick Ewing, I believe, is a 3 or 4-time All-Defensive Team member, but he was a hell of a defensive player. So why doesn't he have 7, 8, 9, or 10? Why didn't he win a Defensive Player of the Year award in his career, even though he was one of the elite shot blockers and one of the elite defensive big men in the history of the game? Why doesn't Reggie Miller have 12 All-Star selections? Why doesn't he have 10 All-Star selections or 10 All-NBAs? Because he played in an era with all-time great competition at the guard position. So once again, it's a give and take with Joe Dumars and Gary Payton and John Stockton, right? And Michael Jordan, right? It's a give and take with all of these guys. Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, right? You're give and taking here. You're only going to be able to get so much because the guys that you're playing with and against are so great. Patrick Ewing, how many all-defensive teams can Patrick Ewing make when you're in the league, right? In that position, there's only one position, center, for all-defensive team. So you're going against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when you first came in the league, right? You're going against Moses Malone still when you first come in the league. You're going against Hakeem Olajuwon when you come in the league. You're going against later on David Robinsons, the Mutombos, the Shaquille O'Neals, right? You were going against guys like Mark Eaton early in your career, right? All of these guys, right? Manute Ball, they're making the all defensive teams. They're getting those accolades. So Patrick Ewing might look lesser on paper. So that's why I tell you, got to check on Ewing's resume. You got to look into the details and verify and look, say, hey, why didn't he get X, Y, Z? Why didn't Reggie Miller have this or that? But then you look and find out Reggie Miller led his team to an NBA Finals. Did he not? Yes, he did in 2000. He led his team there. James Harden still has never done this. Never. I mean, people will talk about Nikola Jokic and how great he is, and they'll point to the numbers, right? And then they'll say, oh, he's so great. Look at the numbers. Look what he does. He's efficient, all this stuff. But then when he's only won one championship in 10 seasons, right, and he's been to one NBA Finals in 10 years, they'll say, he ain't got no help. He ain't got no teammates. He ain't got no XYZs. Then these guys this. Who did Patrick Ewing have? Who did Patrick Ewing have? You point to me the all-time great players that Patrick Ewing played with when he's going against Michael Jordan's Dynasty Bulls, right? When he's going against Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, right, in the late 80s. Patrick Ewing's going against those same damn teams, guys, in the Eastern Conference. People forget this stuff. It wasn't just Michael Jordan. Those guys were dealing with it too. Charles Barkley on the Philadelphia Sixers, they're all dealing with this stuff in the Eastern Conference, man. So once again, Patrick Ewing was going against Larry Bird Celtics. They were all dealing with these guys. Who did Patrick Ewing have? He didn't have anybody like that. He had John Starks. He had good players, but he didn't have the big name dudes. But he was out there going and balling, showing up every night. And yeah, he didn't win an MVP, but Nikola Jokic got 3. He ain't winning 3 MVPs in the 90s. You guys really, you clown Nikola Jokic fans. And I'm going to call y'all clowns out there because y'all be sweating me in my comments. You really believe Nikola Jokic's going to win 3 MVPs in the freaking 90s? You put in the comments, Nikola Jokic win 3 MVPs in the 90s? 3? And he finished just runner-up on the other ones he doesn't win? Nah, man. Nah. Stop it. Stop. You think Nikola Jokic's putting up 40, 30-point triple-doubles every night, going against Robert Parrish, Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, Brad Daugherty, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Moses Malone, Shaquille O'Neal, Dikembe Mutombo, Ronnie Cycli, Rick Smits? Come on, man. Stop it, guys. It's not happening. We have to, once again, put things into perspective and context here. And again, I've gone off the rails. You know what I'm talking about, man. You know what I'm talking about. All right? Once again, shout out to all you guys for coming through. Shout out to my man, Rap God Reloaded. Shout out to little brother. Telling you, man, listen, I'm telling you guys right now, there's no knock on any of these dudes. I'm giving you guys the facts here. Because once again, it's about every night. Every night you got to bring it. There's no nights when you're going against Ivan Zubac, man. And I'm not knocking these dudes, man. You're not going against Bam Adebayo who said, dude, think about it. Then Nikola Jokic is being guarded by Alex Caruso last year in the second round against OKC. He was being guarded by Alex Caruso. Nikola Jokic is amazing, man. He's a great player. They're not putting Alex Caruso and Patrick Ewing in a playoff scenario. It's not happening. It's not. I don't give a damn where he is on the court. Stop it. Just stop, man. Insane. But anyway, let's talk about Giannis real quick. We got to talk about Giannis real quick. I've rambled on. I've been rambling on for a minute now. Let's talk about this for a second here, all right? Now, we have to understand. Well, come on. Let's see. All right, listen. All right, listen. Dakota, man, let's not get crazy now. We have to understand, all right? Listen, I get it. I know you're a Nikola Jokic supporter, man, and I'm not knocking him, all right? What I'm just trying to tell you guys is this. When you guys promote Nikola Jokic, think about how you're promoting him. You're promoting him based off of the statistics he's putting up. You're not promoting him based off anything else. You're promoting him off of statistics and his statistical dominance. That's why you guys promote him. That's why Scott puts the videos out. It's based off statistical dominance because the man's got one championship. I'm not saying only one. I said he has one championship. That's not a knock on him, but he has won. If you're dominating that much, this is why I tell you guys, sound like LeBron James fans. Oh, LeBron James doing this, and then he'll lose every year. He lose more than he wins, and then you guys do what? They go, oh, his teammates are trash. He ain't got no help. Look at his stats. This is what they're doing for Nikola Jokic. What I'm saying, listen to me, hear me. The numbers you're celebrating, he would not be putting up in the 90s because every night, listen, yes, one night Nikola Jokic might drop 30, might drop 40. Maybe he would, maybe. But you're not going to do it night in and night out like you're seeing him do now. It's not the competitions every night. But I'm telling you, what I just highlighted to you, there's no nights off. No nights off. There are no nights off against second-tier guys. Guys that are some guys that would never be. The guys that are starting right now, the starting centers, they're not starting over the guys I just mentioned. They're not. Isaiah Hartenstein, these guys are not starting over them dudes. It's just not happening. Jonas Valanciunas, Nikola Vucevic, like I said, Bam Adebayo, 6'9". They're not starting centers in the 90s. They're not good enough. That's all it is. So when you understand why you're promoting him, I want you guys to understand something here. Think about this. When the Nuggets won the championship, right? Jamal Murray averaged 30 on 50, 40, 90 shooting splits, guys, in the Western Conference Finals. This is not to say that Nikola Jokic wasn't great, but the man was 50, 40, 90 on 30 points per game. But they'll tell you that he's not an all-star on his resume. That's why I tell you guys, you got to call up and you got to. Jamal Murray's hit more game winners in the playoffs than Scottie Pippen ever did. But he's not Scottie Pippen, right? No, why? Because of his paper resume, right? Because he didn't make an all-star team or an all-NBA. It's because of his injuries, not because he's not that caliber of player. When they won, we can argue it was because of Jamal Murray. When he's not there, they don't win. So, I mean, we have to put things in perspective there. Nikola Jokic has 3 MVPs and 1 championship. 1. What are we doing here? We're celebrating what? What are we celebrating here? Mediocrity. That's what we're celebrating with Nikola Jokic. Let's give them a... Why? Because of his stats. His teams are not winning 60 games. They're not... Oh my God, Nikola Jokic's team is going to break the record of 70 wins. None of this stuff. They're never a top defensive team. Why is that? Why is that? Because of Nikola Jokic, not because of Jamal Murray or Aaron Gordon. I mean, they blame everybody else. That's the LeBron James stuff. So once again, keep it under perspective. No one said Nikola Jokic is not great or he's trash, but he's not winning 3 MVPs in the 90s, y'all. He's not winning a single MVP in the 90s. Not one. How? How would he? Think about this also. I don't even know how we got on this. When the Nuggets won their championship, and we're talking about the lack of help you have, the Nuggets during that run, they did not beat a single 50-win team. If we flip the script and we talked about LeBron James, and we said, yes, the Lakers won a championship, and they didn't beat a single 50-win team en route to do that, we would talk about what? How weak that run was. Well, that Denver Nugget run was pretty damn weak that they had when they won the championship. They didn't beat a single 50-win team, and then the team you beat in the finals was an 8-seed team led by Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. So when they say, oh, he don't have no help, how much help does Nikola Jokic need to beat those teams? You don't need help to beat. You're not playing anybody. It's not you're playing the 86 Celtics. You're not playing the 89 Pistons in the playoffs. You're not playing any of these guys. You're not playing the 90 Bulls. I mean, like, oh, I need all this help. Nikola Jokic ain't got nobody. Who? He needs all that help to beat who? To beat who? Who? 40-win teams? How many times Nikola Jokic lead the league in anything? He's never even led the league in anything, guys. I'm talking about statistical average for a season. A point per game, a rebound per game, assist per game, a steal per game. People be like, yo, he finished second. He finished third. That's great. He never finished first. He's played 10 seasons, not 3. Not 4, not 5, 10 seasons. Never led the league in a single statistical category. But that's the greatest player ever, Stan Van Gundy says. Come on, guys. What are we doing here, man? What are we doing here? What are we doing? I don't know. Nikola Jokic has lost some playoff games, some playoff series. Go look at them, guys. You guys forget this stuff? That's the LeBron James fan stuff. You guys are forgetting your short memory. Go look at the playoff loss of the Damian Lillard Portland Trailblazers. I mean, my goodness. The Devin Booker Suns? Come on, man. I mean, why? Because Jamal Murray wasn't there, right? But let's trash his teammates. Remember, this season alone, 2 of his teammates have dropped 50 in a game. 50 in a game. But these guys are not all-stars on paper. On paper, man. Come on. Insane. I just told you guys, Karl-Anthony Towns like Gumby out there. Jello Lake, that's his competition at center. Rudy Gobert. These are the competitions. Come on, man. Stop it. That's not Hakeem Olajuwon. Think about it. Shaq in his first NBA Finals went against Hakeem Olajuwon. He went against Hakeem Olajuwon in his first Finals. Who did Nikola Jokic go against? Bam Adebayo. No disrespect to Bam Adebayo, man. You ain't Hakeem Olajuwon, dude. Not even close. Patrick Ewing in his first NBA Finals went against Hakeem Olajuwon. I mean, what are we doing here? Shaq had to go against Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing had to go against Shaq. Brad Daugherty, Robert Parrish, Bill Laimbeer. I mean, these guys were going against each other. Who was Nikola Jokic going against? Joel Embiid's not even there for him to go against. He's not even there. Come on, man. You had Mourning, Mutombo. Like I said, just so many guys, man. I mean, my goodness. It was stout. That's why those guys don't get those accolades. That's the facts. What Shaquille O'Neal did, I'm not a huge Shaq guy. I loved Shaq for what he did for the NBA in the 90s. He was a huge personality, Shaquille O'Neal. But I'm not, Shaq this, Shaq that. I recognize where Shaq should be. I rank Shaq as the 5th greatest center, in my opinion, in the history of the game. Some people think Shaq the greatest center. Some people think Shaq is top 5 all time, top 10 all time. I don't have him quite there. But what he would do to Nikola Jokic, when we're talking about, listen, let's think about it this way. In my opinion, Shaquille O'Neal, athletically, was at his best on the Orlando Magic in the first couple of years, early years of the Lakers. To me, that version of Shaquille O'Neal, Nikola Jokic can't sniff. Because what we're talking about, see, people get a version of Shaq in their mind of Shaquille O'Neal as this guy that was just a big lumbering oaf. And he couldn't do it. Shaq had excellent footwork. And when Shaq came into the league, like I said, to me, his years in Orlando, those first 4 years in Orlando, and then those first couple of years in LA, is it to about 2000 to me. Once he went Hollywood after the championship, Shaq, yeah, we know, he kind of let himself go. He says that, we know. But those years, that version of Shaquille O'Neal, quote-unquote skinny Shaq, Nikola Jokic can't touch that dude. The reason why we talk about Shaq and where he ranks all time is because think about Shaq. He couldn't make any All-NBA first teams or win any MVPs in the 90s. Why? Because of the competition, not because Shaq wasn't great. There was a game I saw the other day where Shaq had 27 points, 25 rebounds, and 15 blocks. 15 blocks. That was a rookie Shaq on Orlando. We're talking about what he could do. Shaq was an amazing athlete. Shaq let that get to his head. That was his problem. But when you talk about what Shaq could do, like I said, the competition was stiff. Nikola Jokic would not be able to get up and down the court with Shaquille O'Neal. He was a greater athlete. He wasn't slower than Nikola Jokic. His footwork was sensational for his size. And like I said, I'm not a Shaquille O'Neal, like, I'm a Shaq fanboy or I'm trying to pump Shaq up. No, I've taken down Shaq down a peg and brought him down to earth in several of my videos because I've talked about him in comparison to the other great centers in the 90s. You weren't dominating them because those guys were like that. If all those guys were Ivica Zubac, Rudy Gobert, Jaren Jackson Jr., or Isaiah Hardenstein, Shaq would have been gobbling them dudes up. He'd had 10 championships if that was his center competition in the 90s Shaq when he came in the league. Are you kidding me? He would have been killing them cats. It wasn't Brooke Lopez, Robin Lopez. Like I said, Nikola Vucevic. Come on, man, stop this nonsense. Y'all are crazy. Karl Anthony Towns. No way, man. Shaq would have came in and destroyed them dudes. It'd have been over. He had to wait his turn. Shaq had to wait his turn. Because them dudes, they had now. Like Kawhi Leonard's now, they had now. Hakeem, right? Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, they had now. Now, like I said, shout out to the OKC Thunder, man. All right, yeah, Yusuf Nurkic. Yeah, shout out to Captain Bones Music. Come on, man. Yeah, Chet Holmgren. These are the centers. Like I said, Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the great defensive centers. I'm not knocking these guys and saying that I've never called these guys trash. I don't speak like that in the channel. That's not what it's about. I'm not saying that those guys are terrible players. What I'm saying is that those guys, those are the starting centers now. Those are the big name centers. Those are big name guys. Zubac and those are big name dudes in the league now. So what I'm saying is that those guys are not nowhere near starters in the 90s at the center position. Those guys are like the third guys come with. They're like the Luke Longleys, man. And that's not to say that they're trash. What I'm saying is that when you're talking about the competition that you're going against, it's not going to allow those guys to look good like this or to make them look as if, oh, look at this guy. He had 20 rebounds the other night. Yeah, he's not even going to be on the court, though, because this competition is going to be stiff. You're going to be backing up these guys, backing them up. So when I talk about Nikola Jokic and the statistical dominance that he has, once again, never had a 60-win season on the Nuggets or a 70-win season, right? They're never like, oh, man, the greatest team of all time is led by Nikola Jokic. Never led the league in statistics. Hey, maybe this season he'll lead the league in everything. He'll lead the league in points, rebounds, assists, and then Scab Attack could make like a 5-hour live stream and celebrate Nikola Jokic, and then really he won't even realize what he's doing. I want you guys to understand this. We've gone so off the rails here, man. So off the rails. The more that he pumps up, and what's in, shout out to Scab Attack, man, because like I said, he's passionate about Nikola Jokic. I respect his passion for Nikola Jokic. But what it does to me, in my opinion, his Nikola Jokic, celebration, it contradicts Kobe stuff. It contradicts everything you promote Kobe for. Because what's one of Scab's biggest things for Kobe? He talks about Kobe's competition, right? Oh, the most defensive era ever. Kobe Bryant was scoring and averaging 30 when you could barely score 90, right? He talks about the 50-win teams that Kobe Bryant went against. He beat more 50-win teams than the LeBron James and this guy, and he played against all these really. He talks about the competition he talks about all the time for Kobe Bryant, right? And rightfully so, I get it. But then once again, you think about that same argument in context for Nikola Jokic. Where's his competition at? It's nowhere to be found. So he makes it about the lack of help. That's where you lose me. That's where you go LeBron James route. Oh, his teammates ain't this. Because you're talking about paper accolades. Oh, the All-NBAs, the All-Star selections. You lose me. Gone. I'm not following you on this. Because the guys that he plays with are good. They're good players. When he's won the one championship that he's won, when he won it, Jamal Murray was sensational. Sensational. I mean, my goodness, he wasn't carrying these guys. Oh, he's carrying bums out here. This is LeBron James talk, man. Stop this nonsense, man. You can't do it like that. When you talk about Kobe and what he did, I just told you guys what? Nikola Jokic didn't beat a single 50-win team and route to that championship. But I'll tell you how many 50-win teams Kobe Bryant beat. Well, then once again, Nikola Jokic is looking real bad compared to Kobe Bryant and your Kobe Bryant points. You have to remain consistent here. I'm giving you the facts here, guys. I'm giving you the facts, man. All right? And like I said, I respect Scab's channel, and I respect his Kobe Bryant. He does homework on this stuff. I get that. But he bases a lot of his stuff off of numbers, off of the stats historically. And I told you, you cannot compare the numbers of what guys are doing with Nikola Jokic, some of these other things that are going on. You can't compare that to historically. You can't make that correlation. We've seen this already. That's why I had a problem some years a year ago when he kept trying to pump up the Boston Celtics as one of the great teams. And then he talked about the OKC Thunder before they had won a championship as being one of the great teams. And I said, listen, I don't want to hear about the stats these teams are putting up in this era. I want to see these guys go out there and do something, right? A lot of these teams, they were not proving it to me except being one-hit wonders. That's what I'm seeing right now. A lot of one-hit wonders, right? We're living in the 80s era of music where a group comes out, they have a record that's really hot, and then maybe you don't hear again from them until a little bit, or they have a couple of really good songs, and then that's it. This is what you're seeing now. A team win a championship, and then you don't see them again. I'm not talking about teams winning, consecutive championships. I'm talking about dynasties. I'm talking about you being competitive for consecutive amounts of years. A lot of these teams are competitive for 1 or 2 years, and then they fall off for several years. Then they come back maybe for a year. Then they fall off again. There's a lot of inconsistency. It's not called parity. It's inconsistency is what I'm seeing. Like I said, look at the Eastern Conference this year. Inconsistency. The Western Conference the other year. It was inconsistent last year. The Western Conference was a joke to me. We didn't know what the hell was going on. And then OKC was dominating these fools all season long. And once again, they're dominating. But to me, there does seem to be some more level of other teams that are there. But we have to, once again, put these things into perspective here. So like I said, I respect, like I said, what, the Nikola Jokic people are trying to do, right? And it's some of this comes like Scab, right? He spends so much time, right? He even himself, he admitted it, that a lot of this Nikola Jokic stuff started to combat LeBron James, right? You were trying to combat LeBron James. So you are highlighting Nikola Jokic because he's kind of like, when Scab thinks about him, the opposite of LeBron James. So he was promoting him in that regard. But he went overboard with it. And he lost, they said he lost that focus. If you want to make those points, what LeBron James does, Nikola Jokic would never do. He wouldn't try to stack the teams, or, he wouldn't say, hey, look at me, or he wouldn't chase the stats. If you want to argue those points, then you can argue those points. But when you're trying to start talking about the stats that he's putting up or putting him in another realm, and he's historic, and I can't follow you guys with this stuff because I told you the stats to me, what are they really equating to? I mean, like I said, last year was sensational. Does anyone think that Nikola Jokic was great in the playoffs last year? He wasn't great in the playoffs. He was good, but he wasn't great. Once again, and they faltered, and he was being guarded by Alex Caruso. So anyway, let's think about that dude, LeBron James. And let's talk real briefly about some of the things that we've seen LeBron James do over the last couple of nights. And I want to read off some of these comments that I heard because y'all going to get a laugh, all right? I know I've been rambling on here for about an hour now. Once again, shout out to all you guys, man. Yeah, exactly. That's right. He lost the plot with Jokic, man. He got carried away. Some of these guys get a little carried away, man. Like the LeBron James fans, they way carried away. Like Scab Attack is becoming like a Nick Wright for LeBron James. He's becoming that for Nikola Jokic, where you're not really trying to give context and perspective behind your content with Nikola Jokic, but you always want people to give context and perspective about Kobe Bryant, right? You don't want them to call Kobe Bryant a sidekick or try to knock Kobe Bryant for this or that. You want people to, once again, put the facts and the context and perspective out there. You got to give it from Nikola Jokic. You can't just celebrate his stats and celebrate all the lack of winning team-wise based off his teammates all the time. Oh, his guys, he's played with a lot of really good players. Like I said, his competition has been stiff. But how much help does he need to beat some of these teams? I mean, like I said, who are you going against? Nobody's. But anyway, I wrote down some comments, guys. All right? Based off of that's what I'm saying, man. Listen, Shaq would have, like I told you, man, if you put Shaq in, like I said, when he first came to the league, those first 7 years in the league or so, man, like I said, to me, to about 2000, I mean, and you put him in the era of NBA, and I'm not trying to say, like, oh, you drop Shaq in here. And here. I'm talking about a specific version of Shaquille O'Neal that people act like never existed, right? That, oh, Shaq was a big, slow, goofy, fat dude. Like, it's like they were talking about Charles Barkley. Oh, Charles Barkley was just some fat guy that, blah, blah, blah. Yo, Charles Barkley, man, do you not know what Charles Barkley was doing? His athleticism was off the charts. Like, he was one of those guys that was shockingly athletic. You were like, damn, I didn't know he could jump like that. I told you, to me, one of the great dunkers that I've ever seen. The great dunkers of the 90s was Charles Barkley. So anyway, I wrote down some comments from LeBron James post-game interview, guys, right? And when I talked to you guys about when I told you guys about LeBron James and the lack of self-awareness, and I'm talking to you guys about how LeBron James ain't worth a damn, his fan base, they're not worth a damn, his fan base, man. They're really not. These comments are going to give you a clear picture as to what I'm talking about, all right? Let me show you guys here, all right? Yo, once again, shout out to all you guys, man. Listen, I know some of you guys are big Nikola Jokic supporters. I don't even know why we went on a tangent there. Nikola Jokic, like I said, man, I have no problem with Nikola Jokic. I have more so of a problem with his fan base. I think his fan base has lost touch with reality, all right? I think that he's like the great white hope for them. And I don't mean that like in a racial way. I mean that as opposed to LeBron James, right? Like he's the guy that came and people were like, yes, finally somebody, like a breath of fresh air. That's what he was for a lot of people. So in that regard, I agree. However, like I said, when we talk about historically, I keep hearing people putting him top 5 centers all time. You know, like I said, we just heard Stan Van Gundy say he's the greatest player of all time. I mean, wow. I mean, that's insane. The greatest player of all time has 1 championship on his resume. 1. In the weakest era. Like, we laugh at LeBron James and we laugh at this version of NBA and we're saying we're hoping it will get better because it's been weak. Nikola Jokic is playing in the same era, guys. It's the same era. If you want to say he's dominating the weakest era of all time, then by all means, he's the smartest person with Down syndrome. I told you that. Great for him for dominating the weakest era of all time. Like I said, we'll see what he does as far as winning championships, though. That's all I'm saying, guys. Anyway, so like I said, shout out to Jolly Joshums who came through with the super. Much respect to Jolly Joshums, always coming through. How can you compare today's centers to the past? Centers used to be goalies protecting the paint. Now teams play with their goalies on the perimeter. No, shout out to Jolly Joshums, and you bring up a great point. And this is why I like doing the live streams, right? Because it allows us to go on different ways and just go down a certain path and it's all good. What you're talking about here was protecting the paint, right? What have we talked about on this channel, guys, right? If you watch the game, right, back in the day, like I know when people go, blah, 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 I've seen the highlights and all those things. The highlights, it's not just about the players necessarily or the plays that they're making. You have to watch the game because when I'm telling you that they're running from baseline to baseline, the baseline, guys, under the rim, that's the baseline, right? They're going from block to block. Why are they doing that? Because like he said, they're in the paint. That's where you go. So when you talk about, these guys are doing so much more running, Nikola Jokic could do this or this guy would do this to this guy. No, those guys did more running. The big men back in the 90s, the other eras, they had to go from baseline to baseline. Think about guys in the 60s. There was no three-point shot. So when you think about, some of these shots being chucked up, not saying they didn't take far shots or they didn't take outside shots, but when I'm talking about the way that some of these shots are being chucked up, I told you, there are times that you watch basketball, this is consistently, where guys chuck up a long-range 3, 10 feet behind the line, 5 feet behind the line, right? When guys are not even across half court yet. So in turn, what happens? You have scenarios where guys don't even move from a couple of feet left and right because by the time they go to run down the court, the other guy already chucked the shot up and they're coming back down already. So they'll say, yeah, the pace is high. And I say, no, they're taking more shots faster. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're running so much more. I've seen plays when Nikola Jokic doesn't even get across that court or doesn't even move because he throws a long pass, they take a long shot, it's already coming back the other way. I mean, that's how the game is played right now. So when you talk about the running of the big men back in the day, yeah, there were guys that were not as athletic as others. You think about David Robinson. I told you, to me, probably the most athletic center that I watched play. I mean, that dude could run like a deer and he could move. You know what I'm saying? He could dribble the ball and to a degree, right? For a big man, he could run it like that, the court, and he could give a dunk. He was one of the best dunking big men that I've seen, David Robinson. He dunked with a swag, with a flair, with a style because of his athleticism. So when you watch him move on the court, yeah, that dude was athletic as hell. Like I said, you want some of these dudes. Is that going to make you the greatest center of all time? No, because we saw Hakeem Olajuwon, who wasn't maybe as athletic as David Robinson, right? Beat David Robinson several times in these matchups because of Hakeem Olajuwon's fundamentals and skills, because that's what basketball is. It's not just about athleticism. That's why I laugh and talk the evolution. These guys are more athletic today. They're bigger, stronger, faster. That doesn't make you a better basketball player, though. It doesn't, right? It just doesn't. The fundamentals and the skills of those past players would make them be able to conform to this game. Those guys today, these guys, they wouldn't be able to conform to the past because their fundamentals and their skills are lacking because they're allowed to manipulate the rules. The carries, the travels, the weird stuff you see. So anyway, shout out to Jelly Johnson because you're running the money with this stuff. The big men were running a lot more, block to block. And then when you got to the block, you had to post up. I told you, like in a scenario, Nikola Jokic would have had to beat David Robinson down the court to the block. He would have to, all night long. Yeah, maybe one play here or there. David Robinson, Nikola Jokic is there. He doesn't beat him. You know, like I said, they're going to be nice. Nikola Jokic's going to do X, Y, Z. Right? He might look really good. But there's going to be most nights where you look average. You look mediocre. Right? You're Ronnie Cycli out there. You're maybe one of these kinds of guys, a Rick Smith type of player all of a sudden. You're not all of a sudden that guy. You're not the best center or the greatest center of all time in this era. And every night you got to bring it. All night you got to run up and down the court with David Robinson. And then when you're out there on the court, he's going to be playing elite level defense against you all night. So yeah, you might fake him out with a pass here or fake him out there, but he's going to be blocking shots in your face, right? He's going to be grabbing rebounds. Yeah, Nikola Jokic's a really good rebounder, right? In this era. But when you're battling down low every single night, you have to battle against all of these guys, Buck Williams and Otis Thorpe, right? And Charles Oakley. All these guys are banging into you all night. Not saying Nikola Jokic is not tough. He's not a big body. But that's every night. Every night. Not there's nights off. You're going against this guy, that guy, these clowns over here, and this fool over there, and a 6'8" guy there. No, every night, man. They're just banging into dudes, man. These guys are all over you. Come on, man. That's what I'm saying. It would just be one of those things where you just get into a point where it's attrition. You can't, every night you can't bring it. Damn, now you got to go play Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale now. Damn, it doesn't end. Think about it. One night, think about Nikola Jokic. I don't know how I would keep doing this, but if he played, I'm trying to think, I want you guys to understand this stuff. If he played like in the Eastern Conference, let's say, right? He would have had nights where he has to wake up in the morning and go against Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, right? Then he has a night where maybe he has to go against Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley. Then maybe he has a night where he has to go against Bill Lane Beer and Dennis Rodman, right? Then you have a night where maybe you have to go against Moses Malone and Charles Barkley. This is all in the late 80s, guys, right? Early 90s. Like, think about when you have to wake up just in the Eastern Conference, right? I didn't even talk about Hakeem Olajuwon and Otis Thorpe, right? I didn't talk about these guys, right? We didn't talk about some of these other players, right, that you have to go against and battle with. You know, not like I said, Kevin Duckworth and Jerome Kersey or Buck Williams. Like I said, man, Tree Rollins. Like I said, and Kevin Willis. Like, every night you're just going to be getting banged around and you're going to be getting elbowed and shouldered. You're going to be hurting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not just going to be in there standing around, goofing around and be doing these goofy passes. Like the Nikola Jokic guy, like, they'd be like, yo, look at him. He's a wizard out there doing it. You ain't doing that with Brad Daugherty and Larry Nance standing there and their hands are flying everywhere and they're just bumping into you. Like I said, the guys are over here and they're over there and they're playing with that kind of level of effort. They're not standing out there at the 3-point freaking line. It's different. Like I said, think about every night. Rick Smith and Antonio Davis or Rick Smith and Dale Davis, the Davis boys. Every night you're getting guys fouling you, banging you. You're just getting hit. It doesn't matter who it is. They're just big bodies. Anyway, let's read off some of these comments that we saw, that I read, that I saw on the LeBron James interview, the post-game interview. You guys know I got the facts. You know that. All right? Shout out to all you guys, man. Like I said, man, no disrespect to Nikola Jokic and any of you guys out there that are his supporters, man. But y'all got to stay in reality. Stay in reality. All right? You're not going against Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain and Willis Reed and Nate Thurman, right? And Walt Bellamy and Dave Cowens and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You're not going against those guys. Wes Unseld. Like, think about some of those. They were all competing against each other. Those are not separate guys in separate eras. All of those guys competed against each other. That's why when you compare them and you talk about what they were doing, why they were great, because they went against each other. That's why. If they proved it. They proved how great they were battling against each other. These are the great big men. battling against each other, right? They were not battling against each other. That's why I said, oh, there was only 8 teams in the league. Yeah, but that's why those guys were going against each other all the time. You can't duck the smoke in the 60s. Like, I mean, my goodness, you can't duck Will Chamberlain. You can't duck Bill Russell. You can't duck Unseld. You can't duck, like I said, Thurman. You couldn't duck Reed. You couldn't duck Bob Pettit or George Mikan. There's no ducking the great players because every night you had to bring it because every night was one of them dudes. That's the same way it was in the 90s. Every night you had to bring it because every night a team had somebody. They were just going to be guys. It didn't matter. Like I said, the name on the back of the jersey necessarily, but what those guys were doing. Look, grown-ass men fighting for rebounds. Come on, man. You guys know the deal, man. Exactly. Yo, shout out to Captain Bones Music. My man said you missed a whole season trying to duck. You can't duck. There's no time to duck. Right? Like we talked about with the movie Predator. I ain't got time to bleed. You ain't got time to duck the smoke. You'll never be on the court. You'll never be there. I told you, think about the 80s, right? And how the divisions were. Think about a division, like the Central Division. When you had a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, a team like the Detroit Pistons, a team like the Chicago Bulls, a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers. All these teams were in a division. So you're talking about playing the same team 6 times. So when you talk about the Jordan rules and Michael Jordan going against the Pistons, people always think about the playoffs, right? This man had to play them 6 times every regular season and then play them in the postseason again 6 times, guys, in the division. Man, I told you guys in 89 when they beat the Cavaliers in the first round, they had played the Cavaliers 6 times because they were in the same division, and the Cavaliers beat them all 6 times, guys. Beat Michael Jordan's Bulls all 6 times they played them that regular season, guys. That's why it was a huge upset. The last game that they played the Bulls that season was one of the last games of the season, right? The Cavaliers rested all of their starters because they had already locked up their playoff seeding. They were done. They rested all of their starters. They still beat the Bulls. They still beat the Bulls without any of their starters. That's how good they were. And yet, and still, in 1989, the Bulls were able to beat them. Why? Because Michael Jordan raised his level of play. Raised it up. That's what happened there. So we have to understand these kinds of things, man. Right? These are the facts, man. But these are some really good teams. You're going to play the same team 6 times in your division. These are the facts, guys. Yo, shout out to Ryan Cherry for coming through. Much respect to you. Thank you very much. LeBron's been ducking Giannis for the last 5 years. Exactly. Exactly. This is what I'm talking about. You guys remember that moment? Yo, shout out to Ryan Cherry, man, because you made me think about something. You guys remember that moment on the basketball court? Yo, once again, good morning to all you guys, man. You know I've been rambling on. Forgive me. I'm going to read these comments off in a sec. I keep saying I'm going to read them off, and then I go off on the side stuff. But you guys remember that moment when the Lakers played the Washington Wizards and Michael Jordan took the charge from Kobe Bryant, right? And he got knocked down, right? And they called the charge on Kobe. And they had that nice interaction, right? They're like laughing and giggling, right? This is Michael Jordan, right? This is when the Wizards, Michael Jordan. This is Kobe Bryant's hero, right? You guys remember that? Like John Cusack was right there sitting courtside during this moment. And I remember listening to John Cusack talk about being there and listening to them interact and whatever. We all remember that moment, right? I've posted that picture on this channel before. We don't get that moment if Michael Jordan dunked out on Kobe Bryant, right? We don't get that moment. If Michael Jordan looked at Kobe Bryant as something of a threat, right? Oh, this guy's trying to threaten my throne. He's trying to come after my throne. He's trying to do this. He's blah, 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 blah. If Michael Jordan thought that way, if he was that kind of person and he was like, no, I'm not going to play this game against the Lakers. We're going to get crushed. We're not that good. I mean, think about it, guys. The Wizards were never even supposed to be good. They were never good, right? What they were doing was impressive because they were supposed to be a trash team. LeBron James, you can never say that any of his teams in LA or since he's been in these advanced ages has supposed to be a team like the Wizards. They're always telling us they're contenders every year. So when you talk about a mindset and a willingness to go out there on the court and compete, right? Think about you're on a team that's that bad, that it's not. That makes you not want to play even more, wouldn't it? I'm not going to go out there tonight against the Lakers, man. We're going to get crushed. I'm not going to go out there and get Kobe Bryant's going to come after me. He didn't dunk that. So we get that moment. We get that moment. The fan, I told you, he don't owe me nothing, man. I owe him. He gave us a moment like that because he didn't duck out, guys, because he showed up and was like, yo, I'm going to show up. So we get that moment. You get the Kevin Garnett moment that I was telling you guys about when he dropped 30 on Kevin Garnett, who guarded him the entire game. Look, they lost the game, the Wizards, no doubt. But Michael Jordan stood toe-to-toe. But this is primetime Kevin Garnett in 2003. He went toe-to-toe with that man. He guarded him the entire game, Kevin Garnett, man, in his prime. Against Michael Jordan, he didn't back down. He didn't duck it. He didn't ask for a sub. And he went and dropped 30, doing his thing. Right? We won't get the moment when he shut down Paul Pierce. You want to get the moment when he went toe-to-toe with Ray Allen. You want to get the moment when he shut down Vince Carter, right? In that game, and Vince Carter was all salty. Right? You don't get those moments. Right? Him going against Tracy McGrady when Tracy McGrady blocked his shot a couple of times. You don't get the moment with Ron Artest, right? And then he went down the other end and blocked Ron Mercer. You don't get none of these moments unless he shows up. But he showed up and gave what? The effort. So, I owe him. Thank you. Once again, for going out there and competing and representing, man, and playing with that love of the game, man. You know what I'm saying? You guys know the deal. These are the facts, man. So, like I said, when I heard LeBron James in this post-game interview, what he was talking about in the Raptors game, right, is he was celebrating himself, right? And they were celebrating him, asking these questions about sacrificing the streak and all this stuff. And, you know, that's how I always played the game. Man, we talked about that in the video. Just the way I always played the game. I always make the right plays, right? He started playing that whole thing up. That's the angle he wanted to take. All of his fans took that angle. Right? After that win. Oh, LeBron James always makes the right play. He never cared about the stats, never played for the stats, none of that stuff. BS, man. All right? We all know LeBron James played for the stats. He always cared about the stats. That's why LeBron James is inconsistent in his career, because he's focused too much on the individual success and the individual accolades, the individual stats, instead of sacrificing some of that stuff, sacrificing any of these assists, these scoring numbers, the shots he's taken. Right? He won't sacrifice any of these things. The money he's made. He won't sacrifice nothing for any of these people. So I went to the comment section of this interview to see what the people were saying, because I was interested. And my goodness, guys, my goodness. I'm talking about some crazy stuff right here, man. I just don't understand. So let's see here. We're talking about this. I'm going to read all these comments, all right, guys, word for word here, guys, so bear with me here. Bear with me. I'm going to go probably for another 30 minutes probably, man. Or maybe like a clean, maybe like 2 hours. I'm going to read these comments, though. All right, so the first one says this. Casuals think scoring is everything. They bash a 41-year-old for not being elite in his 23rd year. Yet, he's the greatest scorer of all time. Now, when they put casuals, I love that term, casuals, right? Because I feel like this is another term that's being used and being overused, right? Just, oh, you're a casual fan. I try to use that word too much on the channel. I don't believe I use it much on my channel, but I understand what we're trying to say here. When the LeBron James fans use the term casual, they make me laugh, because when you followed up with this, casuals think scoring is everything. They bash a 41-year-old for not being elite in his 23rd year. Listen, no one's bashing LeBron James for not being elite. Once again, wasn't LeBron James ranked 8th coming into the season by ESPN? 8th. Is it not you weird LeBron James fans that talk about LeBron James still top 5, top 10 in the league? So when you talk about, oh, we're bashing for not being elite, no, you fools are celebrating him for being elite. If you're a top 5, top 10 player in the NBA right now, you're elite. You're elite. You're top 5, top 10. You have to be considered elite. Those are the elite players in the league, the top 10 players in the NBA of a professional league. Those are the freaking elite players, are they not? LeBron James ranked 8th. 8th. So, in that regard, you're elite. You guys celebrate him as being still a top 5, top 10 player. You guys say he's elite. When you're not elite on the court, you're going to get mad when people are laughing at you for being a clown out there. When you fools are trying to celebrate him for still being elite, and then you make excuses when he's not. What do you say? He's 41. I do not believe LeBron James turned 41 yet. Listen, I got a problem with this stuff. This is what LeBron James fans, y'all always bring age up. How many times do you guys see LeBron James fans bring up age? I don't ever remember being like in the 90s or even later on in my life thinking about Michael Jordan as far as age. Yeah, Michael Jordan at 28 was the best. He was the best 30-year-old ever. There was no one better than Michael Jordan at 33. Like, what are we doing now? Every year, LeBron James has been 40 since he was 37. Since he was 37. Oh, LeBron James is 40. LeBron James is 40. LeBron James is 40. LeBron James is 40. He's not 40. Then he finally turns 40, and now he's 41, and I know his birthday might be soon. But he's not, they've been calling him 41 since this season started. And once again, they were calling him 40 when he was 38. When he was 39, he's 40. He's always 40. He's 40 for years. How has he been 40 for years? The one thing we know is he hasn't won an MVP in years. That's what we do know. But you guys always want to bring up his age. It's weird, man. All you want to bring up his number of years played. The 23rd season, the 41. Which one is it? Which one is it? Because when you talk about the number of years played, we're not going to talk about how he didn't go to college. Like, he's 41 though. Dude, which one is it? The 23 years or the 41, man? I don't get it. Y'all be talking about, yeah, he's great at 41 now. Now he's the best 42. I mean, come on, man. Next year, they're going to say he's 45. LeBron James is 45. He's still dominating. That's what they always up him up. They exaggerate. That's the point I'm trying to make here. They exaggerate for LeBron James all of the time. The records, everything is exaggerated. I never talked about Michael Jordan's age. I don't even know how old he was in most of these years. I don't even know how Larry Bird was or Magic. I don't know how old these guys were, man. They were just they're just playing. They're just playing. Now they want to use the age as an excuse, the numbers he played as an excuse. But when we talk about the quality of these years, that's where you lose us. The quality of years. You got 40-game seasons. You're load managing 50-game seasons, 60-game seasons, faking injuries. But you tell us you're Wolverine. Weird stuff, man. And then they say he's the greatest scorer of all time. The greatest scorer of all time. Goodness gracious, man. Ah, gosh. I tell you, boy. But then they start out by saying that scoring is we think scoring is everything, and then you end it by saying great scorer of all time. But no, scoring wasn't everything. Come on, man. Make up your mind here, you fool. Exactly. It's always some weird stuff. Yeah, shout out to Dakota, yeah. That's right, some guy, the youngest player to do such and such. Now he's old, exactly. He's the youngest player to do this, X, Y, Z. Like I said, man, he's the youngest player to score 50 points on a Tuesday, right? I mean, like, these are the things that they think about. They'll say for LeBron James, yo, no one scored more points on a Friday than LeBron James. He has the most points ever in an afternoon NBA game. Like, what? What does that even mean? Who cares? They scored the most points on Wednesday. I don't know. All right, yo, who's tracking that? That's what are you doing with your life? You're tracking the number of points that he scored on some obscure, minuscule, weird, framing of this? I mean, they'll be, yeah, LeBron James really is undefeated in the finals. If you really think about it, that's the kind of stuff that they say. He's really undefeated in the finals because all the other ones have an asterisk. He wasn't supposed, they'll say, what is he supposed to do in 2018? There's nothing he can do. So that doesn't really count on him. But they'll say in 2007, he was only 22. So wait, let's use the age for LeBron James, but not for Magic Johnson, not for Kawhi Leonard. And when LeBron James beat the Spurs in 2013, when you were going against a 21-year-old or something, and then when Kawhi Leonard won the Finals MVP at 22, we don't have to use that age for him. Like, see what I'm saying? Like, it don't add up. Weird stuff from the LeBron James fans, man. The youngest player to do this. But then you look at, someone else will be the youngest player to do X, Y, Z, right? Like Cooper Flagg, they said, just pass LeBron James for the youngest player to score 35 or more in a game, right? A couple of weeks back or something. Like, remember LaMelo Ball? He passed LeBron James for the youngest player to get a triple-double or something. LaMelo Ball, who cares? It doesn't matter. No one cares. Has that helped LaMelo Ball in his career? No, it has not. I don't care. He's the youngest player to get a triple-double. It doesn't matter. Like, none of this stuff matters. The youngest player, 20,000 points. But was he the youngest MVP? No, he wasn't, guys. Was he the youngest Defensive Player of the Year award winner? No. Was he the youngest player to make an All-Star team? No, he was not, because that was passed up, wasn't it? Was he the youngest player to make an All-Defensive team? No, he wasn't. Was he the youngest player to make an All-NBA team? No, he was not. So really, what is LeBron James the youngest really of? Was he the youngest Finals MVP? Nope. What is he the youngest? Was he the oldest? Let's do it the other way, because he's been dominating all these years. Is LeBron James the oldest player to make an All-Defensive team? Just an All-Defensive team? Nope, not even close. Is he the oldest MVP winner? No, he's not the oldest MVP winner. Is he the oldest player to make an All-NBA team? I think that's the one thing that LeBron James is. The oldest player to make an All-NBA team. But what happened, though? We check those references, and the All-NBAs are fraudulent. He's making All-NBAs being negative. He's making All-NBAs playing 50 games, 65 games, when other players are more deserving, right, of making those All-NBAs. They've been giving LeBron James these All-NBAs. So when you look at that, it's fraudulent, man. Where's LeBron James really the oldest? He's not the oldest MVP, right? Not the oldest finals MVP. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Let's go to the next comment. It says this. This one's hilarious. Always has respect for the game and always plays it the right way. That's my GOAT. You know what I said there? I'm going to read again. Always has respect for the game and always plays it the right way. That's my GOAT. Now, does anyone believe that LeBron James always had respect for the game? Does anyone really believe that? I mean, let's be real here, guys. Does anyone really believe that? That LeBron James has always had respect for the game? Where's the evidence of this? I want evidence. I want you to put it out there. Tell us the times that we saw LeBron James have respect for the game. Always had respect for the game. Always plays it the right way. That's my GOAT. That's why I say, when you talk about the LeBron James fan, listen, I don't know how old this person is, right? I don't know. But when I talk about the people that you gravitate towards, the people that you support, the people you get behind, ultimately says more about who you are. So when you say something like always plays the game the right way or always respected the game, right? That's my GOAT. Well, that lets me know that, number one, you don't really care about the game of basketball. You really don't. You're not a fan of basketball. You're a LeBron James fan. I get it. But you don't care about basketball because LeBron is obviously, I mean, we're not going to go through all this, but we know LeBron obviously has not always respected the game, right? And we've seen what LeBron James has done to the game, right? He doesn't play it the right way all the time. I mean, my goodness here. But you're going to sit there and say that. So what standards do you hold yourself to? Because you don't hold LeBron James accountable for a damn thing, obviously. You don't care that he walks off the court early. You don't care that he blames his teammates all the time. I mean, my goodness, what do you care about? That LeBron James dunks the ball and flexes like this on people, and then the next play he's rolling around doing this? You respect that? You respect the fact that LeBron James will go out there on the basketball court. He'll shoot free throws, airball these pretty frequently. I think we can all admit that LeBron James airballs free throws way more often than someone of his skill level should be airballing free throws. I mean, my God. Guys, once again, I never played professional basketball. I didn't play in college. I wasn't some amazing basketball player. I was actually not a good free throw shooter myself when I played in high school. That was probably my biggest weakness. I always felt like I was never in a rhythm on the free throw line. Like, right, I just felt like I was never comfortable on the free throw line because the free throw is about a routine. It's about rhythm, right? I never airballed those damn free throws in high school. Once again, I'm not nice like that. This dude airballs, he's a professional, and he airballs free throws so often. So you'll go to the line, we'll watch him shoot airballs on the free throw line, right? And then he'll think to himself, you know what? Let me try this with my eyes closed. And then go out there and, I mean, think about how much of a fool you are for thinking that in your mind. LeBron James will come to the game and drinking wine or whatever he's, because he's load managing, right? He'll come to the game and eat on the sidelines. He'll wear some goofy outfit. He'll low manage on the All-Star game. He'll do all this stuff, and this person will say he respects the game. Really? His best friend is representing another NBA player. That player requests a trade and then comes to his team. That ain't respecting the game, man. That's some weird stuff. LeBron James flops at a high level. That's not respecting the game. Let's go to the next comment here. But you see where this is going? These are his supporters, guys. Weird stuff. No accountability from his fans. They don't care that he's on the microphone talking nonsense. Oh, yeah, I'll play the game the right way. No accountability from the team. I mean, from the fans, man. My God. LeBron James, you're an absolute joke, man. Another comment. This one was really, this is the one I had a comment on. This MFer is a joy to watch. That last play was beautiful. That's why basketball rocks. You heard what that said? This person said, this MFer is a joy to watch. When I think about the word joy, I think about like people talking about like Christmas time or something, man. Right? You think about some of these Christmas songs, joy to the world, right? You think about some of this stuff, joy. You think about something like, I mean, joy, man. Joy is a word that like you don't really use much in our lives, right? We don't really talk about joy and really what gives us joy in our lives. But this person apparently, they get joy, Joy, they get joy from watching that MFer. That MFer is a joy to watch. That's what that person wrote. So I commented back. I told you, I don't normally do this. I don't comment on people's stuff, man. I don't do this. But I was compelled. I had to ask this person. I said, hey, I'm like, what are you watching? What's a joy? How? I had to know. They didn't comment back to me, but whatever. I was very, like I said, I don't understand how you can say that he's a joy to watch, right? And then say that last play was beautiful and not even mention the fact that the play was made by Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves made that play. I mean, were we not watching the game? Austin Reeves made the play. Austin Reeves signs his man up, made a play off the dribble, right? Barnes comes over, they double team, right? Off LeBron James. He's wide open. He kicks to LeBron James. And once again, the defense is in a rotating, in a help scenario. They're at the mercy of LeBron James there, right? In that moment, because of the actions of Austin Reeves and the game that he was having, right? So in that moment, they didn't give the ball to LeBron James and say, hey, LeBron, break the defense down and make a play. They said, Austin Reeves, you make the play. And then let us know what you're going to do. And LeBron James was there. And then they want to try to talk about LeBron James and talk about that play. That last play was a joy to watch. Yeah, it was so much of a joy that LeBron James went out there and celebrated himself. He put his arms out like he made the shot. Everyone else ran to Rui Hashimura. And LeBron James does this, walking the other way. Watch the replay. But that MF was a joy to watch. Crazy stuff out here. Let's go to the next one. Oh, man. LeBron shuts up haters over and over. Basketball, which he loves, is not about him. It's about winning. And they put winning in all caps. Now, guys, come on now. He shuts up haters. There goes that word haters making an appearance. Over and over. Last year, I don't know how many times I saw in my comment section, Lakers in 5, right? We talked about that in the other video before, right? Lakers in 5, Lakers in 5, Lakers in 5. I don't know how many times. Last year, I saw in my comments, you're going to look real stupid when LeBron James wins his 5th ring this year. You're going to look stupid, Sports and Fitness Rants. You're just a hater. He's going to make you look stupid when he gets his 5th Finals MVP. They've been saying this to me, flooding my comments with these same comments. Lakers in 5. So, if he shuts up the haters, I'm the hater. I'm a hater, apparently. If he shuts us all up, then why the hell did this man lose in 5? How did you shut us up? You didn't shut anybody up. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, you fools do the talking. You're the ones doing the talking here. I don't give a damn about LeBron James, man. I don't care about this fool. He on the level of this dude. He on the level of this dude. He on the level of a lot of dudes. But I don't give a damn about this clown. You're the ones that talk him up. You're the ones that promote him. You're the ones that celebrate all these mediocrity, all these weird stats, all these weird records that we've never even heard of, these obscure points you guys always want to try to make. You're the ones that do that but then you're going to talk about he shuts up the haters. What are we saying? We're laughing at his career. We're not making up, fabricating, or doing anything, editing his career. I told you his resume is what it is. He did that to his resume. I didn't put that stuff on there the way that it ended up on there. He did it. He wants everyone to rewrite it. He don't want you to check on it. So all this stuff that's on there, the reason and the why, I told you, he don't want you to ask the whys, the hows, none of the hard questions. So they'll pump him up. They'll celebrate him. He falters. He stumbles and bumbles. Whatever the case may be, they make the excuses up, and then you're going to sit here and talk about that he shuts the haters up. No, he don't live up to the expectations that you guys put on him. You guys pump him up. He fails. You guys got to pick up the piece like Humpty Dumpty and make excuses. That's what you guys do. You put all the pieces together and make an excuse. Nick, right? All these fools out here making excuses. Bunch of weirdos. That's what you guys do. You're here crying and moaning. Oh, LeBron James shut the haters up over and over. He ain't shut me up once. He ain't shut. When did he shut us up when he told us to keep that same energy? Have we shut up? Has he shut us up? Has he? We kept the same energy. We kept the same energy, man. We did. But I guess it was too much for LeBron James, man. Right? Shout out to Demetrius Marcel. Oh, don't worry about it. He ain't going to win fifth ring. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Don't worry about that. But I told you guys, even if, let's say LeBron James and the Lakers win a championship this year, do you guys think LeBron James is going to be the finals MVP? No. So what are you going to have? You're going to have a scenario where LeBron James, once again, riding on the bus, and then all these fools that were trying to knock Kobe Bryant for being the quote-unquote Pippen to Shaquille O'Neal, what are they going to say? And how are you going to look now if let's say the Lakers, let's say they win a championship. I know they're not going to win a championship. They're not going to beat any team. But let's say they win a championship and LeBron James is the third option, right? The third option James. And they win a championship, man. My God, they ain't helping your legacy at all, dude. You out here riding on the back of the bus like a fool. My goodness, man. Shout out to Demetrius Marcel. So this is the funny stuff that's going on here, like I said. And then it says here, basketball, which he loves, is not about him. It's about winning. If anyone has watched LeBron James over the last 10 years, if you can tell me honestly, by watching him play, what you've seen him do, his actions, on the court, I'm talking about on the court stuff. I'm not talking about any off the court nonsense that we know LeBron James has been doing. I'm talking about the on the court stuff that we've seen LeBron James do, the walking back on D, not making it across half court, walking off the court early, stumbling and bumbling, turning the ball over, still at a high level, chucking up all these shots, taking away from your teammates, right? Load managing, right? Just all this stuff that we've seen LeBron James just standing there on D, not doing anything, crying and moaning, flopping all over. All of this not. You're going to sit there and act as if LeBron James is all about winning? You and LeBron James loves basketball? Come on, man. There's no way you can say that. There's no way you can say that with a straight face. That man's not all about winning. He's all about himself. And you're going to sit and say he loves it. It's not about him. It's all about him. The trades, they're for him. The free agents are for him. I told you guys, when I was going up watching the game tonight, a lot of you guys remember, when it comes to basketball, it was always, what did the team need? So, like, they're like, oh, what do the Bulls need to win? It wasn't what does Michael Jordan need to win. It was what do the Bulls need to win. Oh, the Bulls got to get a rebounder. Oh, the Bulls might need to get a big man, another big body. It wasn't like, oh, what does Jordan need to win the championship? No, it was what do the Bulls need? They're missing this piece. They're missing that. That's the way it always was. What does the Boston Celtics need? What do the Lakers need? What do the Pistons need? What do the Sixers need, right? What do the Pacers need? What do the Knicks need? What do this team need to beat and compete against this team? They're missing this. It wasn't, oh, they got to get this guy this. They got to get Bird another score. They got to get Bird this. No, it was what does the Celtics need to do this? Everything has been about what does LeBron James need. That's how they promote it. You turn on ESPN, oh, what are the Lakers going to do for LeBron James? No, what is LeBron James going to do for the freaking Lakers, man? Is he going to sacrifice? Is he going to take less money for them? What is he going to do for them? Is he going to play all 82 games for them? Is he going to give the effort? Is he going to hustle? Is he going to be a real leader? Is he going to show up? Is he not going to flop around? I mean, my goodness, what is he going to do? I mean, my God, that's what we get, though. What can this team do for him, right? So they talk about now, oh, the Cleveland Cavaliers didn't do anything for him. Oh, my bad, guys. I knew you guys was probably saying supers. My good whole crap. I forgot to read you guys supers off. My fault, man. Damn. Goodness gracious. My fault, guys. LeBron has been, shout out to Yaza Bag for coming through as always. LeBron has been 40 since he was 37. Hilarious. You are the man. Let's roll. Yo, I'm sorry I missed some of you guys. Yaza Bag, I hope you're still here. Forgive me. I didn't see some of you guys. Supers, man. Forgive me, guys. But that's what I'm saying, man. LeBron James been 40 since he was 37, guys. That's the facts. They've been pumping up that narrative for years now. Right? They always want to use the younger stuff. Now we're talking about the older stuff now. They're a joke, man, these guys. Shout out to Praise and Don for coming through. They've been saying he's 40 since he was 34. Yo, that's what we're saying, man, right? They've been using that same line for years now, right? Oh, what do you want from LeBron James? He's 40. Dude, he's 36. What do you mean he's 40? He's going to be 40, though. Yeah, in years, man. LeBron James ain't making all defensive team at 31. He didn't make one at 32 or 33 or 34 or 35. None of these years. None of them. He hasn't won MVP any of them seasons. I mean, my God, but they want to keep saying 40. More excuses. Shout out to Demetrius Marcel for coming through. A member for a month, man. Like I say, man, you guys are true supporters. There's no such thing as an unbeatable team. LeBron is, if he truly was the GOAT, should have beaten the Warriors in 2018. I don't care. GOATs win. Listen, shout out to Demetrius Marcel. Listen, we can all agree and say that a lot of these great players, what makes them great is that they come through more often than not, right? That's why they're great. They're not perfect. They're not always winning. That's what separated Michael Jordan. He wasn't perfect, but he was the closest to that of every one of the other superstars. Because in all of the times that he was put in these certain scenarios, more often than not, more so than the other great players, he came out on top. He beat teams that he wasn't supposed to beat. He put his team in positions that they weren't supposed to be in because of him. That's the facts. You don't have to believe me, but that's the truth. So when you talk about LeBron James and we're talking about 2018, that was another scenario where you had an opportunity there. I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, LeBron James, it takes away from him that he didn't win the series, but it takes away from him that he didn't compete in the series. And that's what Charles Barkley said. Remember, after that series, he said, I don't want to hear no one telling me that he competes like Michael Jordan or he's great like Michael Jordan. Because he goes, the next person I hear say that, I'm going to punch them, right? He said, I'm going to slap them and take my chances with the judicial system. So what he was talking about there was the lack of competitiveness that we saw from LeBron James in 2018. So it wasn't just about the loss. It's how you lost that series. You didn't even compete. Even the teams that were facing the three-peat Bulls in the 90s, they showed up and competed. They didn't sweep them out of there. Even the Sonics, they had pride. They were down 3-0, man. They could have easily been like, yo, man, it's the 72-win Bulls. What do you want us to do? There's nothing we can do. Let's just chill, guys, and just call it a night. No, they won the next 2 games. They had pride. They played with a purpose, right? They were competitive. They were a really good team, too. So once again, we talk about something, they wouldn't get swept. The Utah Jazz, they win 6 games both years with the formidable mighty Bulls. They were not just getting ragdolled because those guys played with pride. They had games. They showed up. They competed. Stockton, Malone. People laughing, oh, Byron Russell. Byron Russell competed, though. He competed at least. He was out Jeff. Oh, he was guarded by Jeff. Jeff Hornacek competed. Look at him. Watch the game. He's competing against Jordan. He's competing against him. Let's go to the next comment. Hate to say it, but tonight he redeemed himself from the other night. I mean, damn it, man. I tell you, man, these freaking people, man. I tell you, man, it never fails. It never fails. It really doesn't. I mean, I'm going to read it again. Hate to say it, but tonight he redeemed himself from the other night. I mean, my God, LeBron James fan base, you guys have no shame. He redeemed himself from the other night. This wasn't one night. This wasn't a one-time thing. This has been going on for years. You guys are trying to narrow it down to one time. Oh, he sacrificed it. Sacrificed it? He should have sacrificed it years ago. But you're celebrating for sacrificing it in year 23 at 40 years old in a game that means nothing? I mean, my goodness. You guys keep telling me the game didn't mean nothing the other night. Oh, the game don't mean nothing. This is what I keep saying, but then you're saying he sacrificed it in this game. So this game meant something because he sacrificed it, and he made the game-winning assist, but the other game didn't mean anything because it was just a means a game that he stayed in with the team down by 25 with Luka Doncic on the bench while he's over there lollygagging, talking with the other team, chucking up shots still. I mean, I don't understand. Like, what do you guys hold him to? He redeemed himself? That's all it took. Like, y'all trying to ruin my morning. He redeemed himself for what he did on that play. That was redemption for LeBron James. You see what I'm saying, guys, when I talk about, like, the standard that you hold yourself to? See, this is what I don't get. We don't know these guys personally. I don't know. We've talked about this kind of stuff, right? But I told you guys what? Why would you hold someone else to a lower standard than you would hold yourself? Or why would you support someone like that apparently is not living up to the standards that you would hold yourself to? So like I said, I can't get behind LeBron James because of the things that he does, the way that he plays the game. I don't respect this stuff. I can't respect it. I wouldn't play the game that way. They say here in the comments that he plays the game the right way, that he loves the game, right? But I don't see that. That's not what I see. Maybe that's what they see. I don't see that. And for them to say that's what they see, they're not seeing anything. You're just being a blind LeBron James witness, right? Because you've been listening to the media. You're listening to the fabrications. The narratives have steered your mind into thinking that way. I tell you guys, they don't want to give you the all broad facts so that you can come to your own conclusion. Listen, I told you guys, if we all went to a class, right? And we went to a class, right, that was factual. Everything that we learned was factual. We were all in the same classroom together. And we listened to someone give us a lecture. And everything this person told us was facts. Everything was on the money, whatever we were talking about. It doesn't matter what it is. After that meeting, let's say there's 100 people in there. Everyone's not going to come to the same conclusion. You might think something different than someone else. You might have interpreted that information that you heard in a different way. Yeah, maybe a majority of people are thinking a certain way, but there are going to be some people that think differently. That's fine because you got all the facts. So, like I said, your understanding, your interpretation of the facts may be skewed, may be different than somebody else. Doesn't mean you're wrong. It means that that's your opinion, but it's actually a valid, logic opinion. You would probably be able to explain your opinion more clear and concisely than a lot of these clowns. Why? Because you got the facts. You didn't get a certain portion of the facts, right? You're missing this. They're giving you this, but you're not getting this over here. So when you come to your conclusion and you write your comments, we're laughing at you. This doesn't make any sense. You guys are fools. What reality are you living in? You're not looking at all the facts. You're not listening. You're not hearing what I'm saying to you. I'm just some dude yelling. No. I'm the guy giving you the facts. Feel how you want to feel. Once again, Somos Bang Deals, what up? I know, man, but we got to continue to hit these people in the head. Right, exactly. They're listening to a bunch of fools out here. They're listening to Go James Kingdom clowns. Exactly. They're listening to the FYF fool. They're listening to Legends of Winning. They're listening to Gilbert Arenas. You're listening to Draymond Green. Like, I mean, my goodness. You're listening to Nick Wright. There's all these idiots out here. Let's go to the next comment. Because we're gonna wrap this up in a little bit. Now, this one was funny to me. First year, LeBron looks human. I told you, man, damn these people. Damn them. Damn you all. Shouldn't even talk like that, man. But, I mean, my goodness. I can't believe people say stuff like this. The first year LeBron looks human? The first year that he looks human. I tell you, man. Man, I tell you. Goodness gracious. All right, listen. I'm not gonna get too mad, all right? But are we listening to this? This is the first year that LeBron James looks human. LeBron James didn't look human in 2011. He didn't look human in 2007. Like, he didn't look human in 2009 or 2010. Like, I mean, I'm baffled here. Like, your memory, the memories of the LeBron James fan base is like a day. They have like a span of a day. The one dude, oh, he redeemed himself, right? Redeemed himself from what? He hasn't redeemed himself from years of all this nonsense. First year, he looks human. I mean, there were so many times on LeBron James that he's looked quote unquote human or less than, right? Less than a superstar, less than LeBron James. And these are the moments I'm highlighting here. There's been several seasons. That's what we talk about here. The consistent failures and fumbles and bumbles, the stumbles from LeBron James. But it's the first year he's like human. The man's been an all-defensive team since he was 29. 29. But it's the first year he looks human. How about this the first year? How about saying the first year that we haven't seen LeBron James not make it across half court? I mean, when was the last season? I want you guys to think about this. For real, be honest with yourselves. LeBron James fans, I'm talking to LeBron James fans out there right now. All right, if there's anybody out there, I want you guys to go do the research. You guys love doing research and bringing up old film on Michael Jordan. I want you guys to go do your homework. And I want you guys to find me the last season that LeBron James went where he did not make it across the half court. Where he made it across half court every single game he played in. You name it. I'm not talking about an opportunity where there was a quick steal or a quick turnover and you happen to be on the other side of the court. We know that happens. We're talking about the classic LeBron James standing on one side of the court, not doing nothing while everyone's playing 4-on-5, and then LeBron James gets an easy basket or just doesn't make it across the court. The screenshots where you see AOH always puts out the video footage, LeBron James never there. You see everyone else there, and there's always one guy missing. You let me know the last season that you can point to that he didn't do that at least one game. What season was it, guys? I mean, my goodness. You're going back years now. Years. We're talking about this the first time he's looked human. Come on, guys. You're not being honest with yourselves. You're not. No one's saying that LeBron James was terrible every year of his career or he's the worst player in the NBA's history. What I'm saying is here, when you guys are trying to say this is the first year he looks human, you're trying to say that in regard to LeBron James still being at this level. This is the first year that he actually came down to a level. No, man. He's been down here. You fools, once again, I told you guys, the standard by the 90s players, the 2000s guys, this is where the standard was, right? Then LeBron James and his crew, they came and started lowering it. Guys, the standard is always down there now. That's what the standard is. And what I tell you is what? We're upholding the standard. Nah, man, those guys put it up there. Like I told you the other day, it's not my fault that's where they put it. They were the pros. I didn't make this stuff up. But now they want to lower the standard down for these clowns. Oh, yeah, the first year he looks human. The man stopped playing defense a long time ago so he could keep playing. He's load managed several seasons with fake injuries, calling himself Wolverine, seeing a LeBron James of feet. He was out the other night, load managed with a back now. Now he's doing a back now. Where does this come from now? So we got a back, we got sciatica, the foot management still. I mean, it's a laugh. It's an absolute laugh. I mean, my goodness. It just, you guys are a joke, man. I mean, you say that the first time he's looked human. Didn't we see LeBron James not show the ability to read a book? So to me, he looked pretty human in that regard. I mean, he looked less than human. Like I said, you couldn't even read a book. And think about what we're saying here. I'm not laughing at people that cannot read or people that struggle to read because there's not something to laugh about, right? We understand this world. We understand society. We understand education. We understand reading and writing and the value of it and understanding that there are certain levels to reading and writing. We're not joking about reading and lack of ability to read. What we're laughing about and what I'm highlighting here is a grown man, a grown-up, a professional athlete who's supposed to be, once again, the face of the league, representing not only himself, not only his family name, not only Nike or the organization he's playing for. Once again, everyone around him, you're representing everybody, your kids, your wife, everybody, man. This is what you represent when you step out there as a grown man. That's the burden on us, y'all. That's what it is. So once again, you step out with that on your back, and what you decide to put out is what? You wanted the optics of it. You wanted everyone to praise you because you are reading. So you want the credit for looking smart, for being someone who reads books, because you think that makes you look a certain way. When in reality, you're faking it because you in turn are a fake person. That's what we're laughing at here. Not actually that you can't read, that you actually fake reading. You're fake reading. That's worse. At least if LeBron James was a dumb person and he really can't read and you see him trying to read a book like that and he's struggling and you're like, yo, man, I give him props, man. He's, he might be dumb, but he's trying to read that book with those big words in it. Much respect to LeBron James. We know he ain't go to college and nothing like that. He ain't really that smart, you know what I'm saying? But he's trying to read the book. No, you tried to fake it. And once again, why did you do it? You faked a Malcolm X book? Man, you didn't fake a book on Michael Jordan, right? You didn't fake read a book on basketball. You didn't fake read a book on anything. You picked one of the black heroes. My goodness, man. Like, that's where you went. You went down that road because you're LeBron James. You're a black hero. It's like what Jim Brown asked Keenen Ivory Wayans in the movie, I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. He said, what makes you think you can be a black hero? And he said, because I'm a former football player. I'm an ex-football player. And Jim Brown looked at him and was like, because Jim Brown was ex-football player, right? But I just thought that was like, anytime that I hear people talk to me about LeBron James activism and how I'm hating on a black guy, or you're hating on a successful black man, I always laugh and I always think about that part of I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, when he says, what makes you think you can be a black hero? What makes you think LeBron James a black hero? What makes you think he's Muhammad Ali? What makes you think he's like a Jackie Robinson or one of the people? Like I told you, I don't want him representing me and my people. He's supposed to be representing us. We're supposed to be represented by LeBron James. Like, think about how that sounds. Hey, oh, the black people out there, let's stand up for LeBron James. He represents blackness. What blackness? I'm talking about lack of integrity. I'm talking about lack of honor, lack of class, not earning the respect. I don't respect him. I don't want to hear about blackness. I don't want to hear about any of this nonsense. Because like I said, my father would never carry himself this way. And my dad's blacker than LeBron James is. And how are we even judging this? I told you, it's weird to me when people make it about that. When I'm talking about your character, I'm talking about who you are. I don't give a damn about this other stuff, man. I told you, man, my family's black and white. My mother's family's from Italy, man, and my father's family's from West Africa. All right, I told you, man, I was in New York City as a mixed kid when there were no other mixed kids around. My mother was walking around with us, nappy-head black kids, man, brown kids out there, when there was no other white ladies walking around with nappy-headed brown kids like that, guys. People used to look at my mother weird. I remember people used to say things to me. I mean, I see all kinds of things, man. That's how I've been there. This stuff is funny to me, that this is where we go with this stuff. You know, like I said, with some of these discussions, how they go down that road. These weird LeBron James fans. You guys know the deal here on this channel, man. I don't want to hear about LeBron James and, oh, yeah, he does all this for the community. Man, we're just hating on him. And, stop it right now, man. These are the same people that are bashing Michael Jordan, who I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan is black dude. Pretty sure Michael Jordan black and stuff. But God forbid, we talk about LeBron James, man. Don't make any sense. Like I said, we try to bring it down that way. Like I said, he's not representing me, man. He represents my peoples, man. There's no way in hell, like I said, I would want that dude to be the guy that I'm like, yeah, man, LeBron James represents us, man. He's black excellence. He's a bit like, yeah, I'm gonna be like LeBron James, man. That's what I want to do. I'm going to walk off the court early. I want to be a sore loser like LeBron James. That's what I want to do, right? I want to fumble and bumble around like a fool. I want to blame everybody else for my problems. I mean, like, I'm not going to get no accountability and nothing like that. I mean, like, come on, man. I'm going to load and manage on people, right? He don't care. He don't show for the people. I think he owes his fans. He owes his fans. He don't owe me nothing, man. You guys know the deal on this, man. These are the facts here. But, yeah, this is the first year that LeBron James looks human. This don't make no sense, man. You guys know these are the facts. I hope I didn't miss anybody supers, guys, man. Like I said, I really appreciate you guys coming through this morning. Oh, wait, we got another one here. Yo, shout out to the lonely one for coming through. Maybe LeBron's cult fan base should shut up for once. Maybe nature will finally take its course and he can finally retire. We need rest. Yo, shout out to the lonely one. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the problem, I think, for LeBron James fan base. They don't listen. Right? They're doing a lot of talking. And that's the problem for LeBron James, right? He don't listen. He does a lot of talking. All right. So we have to, that's, like I said, when I'm talking about setting the record straight, that's why I appreciate you guys sending me all this stuff, because sometimes I don't even know this stuff is out there. And it allows us to talk about, certain scenarios and aspects of the game which allows us to once again educate people out there. And a lot of you guys tell me you share my videos, or you listen to something that I said and you write it down, or maybe you recorded something that I said and you were able to use it and tell somebody, hey man, this is what happened. This is the reality. This is the facts. This is the truth here. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm not saying that everything that I give you guys, it like every year and every number, I'm on the money with everything. I'm on 28.7 and 36 or 1986 or 1989 and 1962 and 1959. This, I might be off. Maybe a number here, a year here, whatever, a stat here or a stat there. Maybe a player played on a team a different year that I might have told you guys, or I got a player's name confused with somebody else, or a year here. What I'm giving you guys, though, the perspective I'm giving you, and the once again, the context that I'm trying to give you, that's on the money. Because I'm not lying to you guys. I'm not trying to lie to you or give you or make you think like me. I don't care. Like I said, it's not about you believing what I believe or you thinking the same way I think. Like, I never want people, especially younger people, if there's any younger people out there, anybody like under like 20 or anything like that, like, I don't want anyone like that to think that I want you guys to quote unquote hate LeBron James or to hate any of these guys that I've done videos on. We went and talked a long time today about Nikola Jokic, and I wasn't planning on doing that, but I think that was a good conversation that we had, and we brought up some good points. But it's not about you guys not liking these players, like I said, personally, and you should hate LeBron James and hope some bad happens to him, and we don't like LeBron James. Every time you see him throw stuff at him or boo him, right? That's not what it's about. We laugh at a lot of that stuff because LeBron James earned that, right? He earned that. That has come upon him. We laugh about that. But I don't want people to think that that's what my channel's about. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just giving you guys my perspective. Once again, my perspective, my context. As someone, like I said, who grew up watching basketball in the 80s and the 90s, like I said, my memory is different than a lot of people's. Like I said, I told you, my dad has said to me, my wife, like a lot of people like, damn, man, you remember things when you were young. I remember watching a lot of this stuff. I remember a lot of this stuff, a lot of these players, a lot of the scenarios, a lot of the years, a lot of the things that happened. I'm able to remember a lot of this stuff, so it helps me when I'm speaking in these videos. But you guys were there too. You guys were sitting on the couch. Maybe you were laying on the rug. Maybe you at your friend's house. I don't know, maybe you at a bar somewhere, right? Maybe you had a family reunion. You had the game on, man. I remember my dad having the radio on, right? Having the Knicks on the radio. Like, these are some of the things that I remember. So for me, I was fortunate to be able to have that memory, have those experiences, right? Like I said, have a father that played basketball in the streets, that took me and my brothers with him. He didn't leave us at home or leave us over there or leave us here. He took us with him. That's why I always say that about my dad. I always loved. He was there. He didn't leave, right? He always took us with him. And we were a pain in the ass, man. We were a pain in the ass. But I remember this stuff. I told you what I remember from watching my father play basketball in Harlem. And I'm talking about young guys. My brothers were young. They were diapers, my brother. I mean, I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, guys. I remember watching my dad, my uncles, and all his boys from the block, all these dudes. These guys were like in their 30s and 40s at the time. They were like my age now. I tell you guys, what do I remember from these moments? Not my dad's jump shot or all those points he scored, or my dad playing like Magic Johnson or rebounding like Barkley or any of this stuff. I don't really remember even the outfits my dad was wearing like that. What I tell you I remember that's it's burned into my brain is the screeching of the sneakers and the sound of them. The grunting, the effort that I remember hearing on the court. I remember the sweat, right? I remember these guys coming off the court just sweating. That's what I remember. That's what I took from away from this. So when I think about how I play the game, that's part of what I took. The effort, the hustle that I saw and heard and felt them playing with. How many times do you guys remember as a kid, or as an adult, a teenager, back in the day watching some of this stuff, and you felt the intensity on the couch? You felt it. You were like, damn, these guys are really getting into it, man. It's really physical out there. These guys are battling right now. That was playoff intensity oftentimes. You could feel it. You don't get that same feeling anymore. A lot of times watching this stuff, it's not the same. So once again, man, I really, like I said, it's different. So I'm really, like I said, it means a lot when we talk about, I'm not trying to destroy or make people not like LeBron James. I want you guys to understand and open your eyes. And like I said, understand, like, I never said LeBron is not a great player. I just told you he's not worthy to be top 10. And to me, and when people hear that, I'm a hater and I'm a guy who don't know nothing. He's not worthy to be in the conversation with those guys because of the way that he's continued to go about his business. So that's what I want people to understand. Open your eyes and look at these things. Like I said, would you do a lot of this stuff that LeBron James does? Just think about that alone. Would you do that on the basketball court? I'm not talking about your personal life. We all do whatever that we want to do. Would you walk off the court early? I told you, I'm leaving on this. I rambled on for a long time. I took up a lot of you guys' morning. I tell you guys all the time, I coach, right? Young children, young kids, man, boys and girls. I just started coaching basketball. My son's basketball league just started yesterday, right? So I'm coaching. One of the keys to coaching children, guys, right, that eventually turn into these kinds of people is to teach them, once again, how to be and play with sportsmanship and conduct themselves in a certain manner. You're teaching them the fundamentals of the game, right? You're teaching them to what? Enjoy the game, love the game, respect the game. So if you in turn are teaching the children, if that's how you feel inside, that's only going to be better for the game overall. A lot of these guys we've seen, they've forgotten this. LeBron James has forgotten why he's playing the game in the first place. Because a lot of these guys, like I told you, where they started from, the people that were around them, right? They weren't teaching them and promoting it the right way. They're promoting the individual. The individual. I'll give you a perfect example, guys, and then I'm gonna end the live stream. Yesterday, we had our first game. And we're playing against another team, right? First game of the season. And I have 7 kids on my team, right? So I told you guys know I've talked about my son, I've told about my daughter on this channel before, and their athletic abilities. And I've told you it's been a joy, all right? It's been a privilege, right? I'm fortunate to be able to watch them go out and do those things. There are a lot of parents out there that children can never do those kinds of things. You can never watch their children go out there and run, right? I told you that there are a lot of parents that don't have that. They're not fortunate like that. So we have to understand. So anyway, the feeling that I have watching them go out there and compete is a feeling that I can't describe to you guys. You have to know it by being like that, right? By being a father and having these moments. Just watch some of your kids being good, by watching them have fun and compete in these sports. It's a good feeling to have. So anyway, coaching allows me to have a little bit more of a personal connection there with my son on the court, on the field, whatever. So we're playing the game yesterday. And, like I said, my son is pretty good. He's very athletic. Like I said, I've told you guys, very fast, very athletic, the kid, man. I don't like to talk my kid up. That's not what I do, right? That's the point of the story here. So we're having the game, and my son's doing good, right? And he scored a bunch of baskets in the first half, and we were beating the team 8-0, right? And it was halftime. And my son scored, 6 of the 8 points. So the second half comes, and we take the lead again, by some more significant margin now. And my son continues to, score, a couple more baskets here. And like I said, the game is pretty much getting out of hand. So I, make a substitution at one point, and I take my son out of the game. Right. And I take him and another kid out. I'm like, hey, Phoenix, I'm going to have a go have a seat, man. Sit down, man. And sometimes he gets upset because he thinks he did something wrong. Right. He's young. He's 8 years old. So he's scoring all these baskets. And in his mind, he's thinking, I'm the best player. Right. Why is my dad taking me out right now? Right. So I heard him. I told you guys, my wife is my assistant coach. We're like a team. Right. This is what we do. So I hear him say to my wife on the bench, and be upset. He wants to come and check back into the game, but there wasn't that much time left in the game. And like I said, we were beating this team down pretty handedly. And I wanted to get some of the lesser children, some of the lesser skilled, and, the kids who maybe didn't get a chance to score. I wanted to give them an opportunity to go in there and maybe try to get a basket. It's the first game of the season. So we have, I think, like 5 or 6 more games left. So, I told my son, and he understands that this is how I've always been. I remember one game in particular, last year when we were playing basketball, and he was going off, man. I mean, he was going off. He had 14, 16 points, something like that. And we had 20 points overall team. I mean, he was scoring all the baskets. And I told him, I pulled him aside. And I was like, don't shoot anymore. I said, stop shooting, right? And he looked at me weird. He was only like 6. And I was like, yo, don't shoot no more. And he's like, dude, I'm on fire. I'm like Steph Curry out here and you're telling me to stop. These are the kinds of lessons. These are the kinds of things that I've tried to teach the children, my son in particular. It's not about you. It's not about how great you are. I told him, yeah, you are good, man. You're really good. I tell my son all the time in private, I celebrate him. And I tell him, yes, you are really good, man. I'm proud of you out there, man. You're doing your thing. But we have to understand that the other children that are out there, your teammates, they're there with you, right? They're there with you on the court. I'm not saying my son was a ball hog and he was shot chucking. He wasn't. He was playing the game. It was nothing like that. But at one point, I told him, I was like, dude, you already got a bunch of points, man. We know how good you are. Try to get help the other kids. What do I tell you guys? Shout out to Bernard Kemp. It's the burdens on the best players. So the burden's on my son, essentially. It's on him. I tell him, dude, we know you're good. Help the other kids out. They can't get a shot off. They can't dribble that good, right? Maybe help them. Get a rebound and give it to them and let them dribble up the court, right? Help them out, right? Help them help you. And essentially, that's what the problem for LeBron James has been. He has continued to play this game where the burden is on him as the best player, the greatest player, the face of the league, but he hasn't wanted that burden. And he hasn't, once again, sacrificed for his teammates, right? He don't want to understand this. It's on him. It's not on his team. It's not on Kevin Love or Chris Bosh or Dwayne Wade. It wasn't on any one of them dudes, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis. It was supposed to be on LeBron James to make the sacrifice and the burden as the best player to help the other people around you who are lesser than. Help them help you, guys. You guys know the deal. Once again, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you for coming through. Well, I hope I didn't miss somebody. Shout out to my man, Bookmark, Mark Book, always coming through. Thank you very much. Respect, great stream. Thank you. No, thank you to all you guys, man. Like I said, it means a lot. I'm going to end the live stream. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. It means a lot for real, man. And so you guys continue to come through. Like I said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. You guys know that, man, all right?